Is there an extra pen or pencil? Does anybody have an extra
Here.
something? Thank you. Thank you very much. Whoops.
Madam Mayor, it's 6:01 and we are live.
Thank you very much. Just getting organized here. And for those who know me, know that that's a challenge.
Hey, listen, as Herman just said, the clock in there still says it's 5 o'clock. Plenty of time.
Really? Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March 15th, 2022 Lakewood City Commission regular meeting. Madam Clerk, would you call the roll?
Yes, Madam Mayor. Mayor Betty Resch.
Here.
Vice Mayor Herman Robinson.
Here.
Commissioner Sarah Maliga.
Present.
Commissioner Christopher McVoy.
Here.
Commissioner Kimberly Stokes.
Here.
Thank you. The invocations have been led by Commissioner McVoy, and we're going to ask Vice Mayor Robinson to lead the pledge tonight.
And I think that's amazing, yes.
In the last few days, we had some tragic situations happen in our city, two traffic-related fatalities. And I don't know the name of the person that died on South Dixie Highway, but many of you know Jim Beloyan, or Jim the biker, who spent part of his time in Wisconsin and part of his time here, was tragically killed in a very strange traffic accident, and I thought we could all. Thank you.
Thank you.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll miss your voice. Madam Clerk, are there any additions, deletions, or reordering? Yes.
Yes, Madam Mayor, I have quite a few.
Oh,
So
good.
first, presentation A, a presentation by Suzanne Cabrera regarding Palm Beach County's Housing Action Plan. And presentation D, certificates of appreciation presented to the Lake Worth Beach Lifeguards.
Mhm.
And presentation G, a proclamation commemorating Women's History Month, were added to the agenda. The other presentations were reordered. Previous presentation D, the proclamation in support of the people of Ukraine, was deleted from the agenda. Consent agenda item B, resolution number 17-2022, certifying the results of the March 8th, 2022 municipal general election. And consent agenda item C, resolution number 18-2022, setting the ballot for the March 22, 2022 runoff election, were added to the agenda. And lastly, new business A, resolution number 19-2022 in support of the people of Ukraine was added to the agenda, and previous new business items A through H were renumbered B through I.
All righty then.
Motion to approve.
I don't have that, do you?
Madam Clerk, I'm warning you in advance. I'll be asking for a little guidance as we go through this. That was
I'm
kind of a
happy to
lot.
guide you, but your certain guidance paper should be completely up to date with all the changes, if you get my
No.
drift.
I think so.
I get your grip. I have, all right, we'll get through this.
Do you have an
Do I
I?
have a
will.
motion? Do I have a motion to approve the agenda as amended?
No, because we're missing an I under new business. I don't have an I on mine. Does anybody else?
You don't have an I because the resolution for the people of Ukraine was added as A, and
Everything
therefore I
else.
had to renumber everything, but I didn't have time to renumber the agenda and print it out for everybody.
So H became I.
I'll just follow the mayor's lead. Okay.
Good luck.
Yeah, so A is B, B is C, et cetera, H is I.
Got it.
We'll be fine.
We'll figure it out.
First, we have a presentation by Suzanne.
No, I'm
Cabrera.
sorry. First, we need a motion to approve the amended
I asked for that, okay. Motion, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Okay, I think now we're gonna have a presentation by Suzanne Cabrera, who is the CEO of the Housing Leadership Coalition regarding Palm Beach County's Housing Action Plan. Thank you so much. This is so desperately needed.
Yeah,
Something is so desperately needed.
yeah, and I am Susie Cabrera, executive or CEO of that, I don't even know what organization, Housing Leadership Council. And we had been working on a plan for quite some time now. We did a needs assessment 2 years ago, and no surprise, we have a terrible housing issue in Palm Beach County. We found a few surprising things, like we should have been building 6,000 units a year from 2010 to 2019, and we were building less than 4,000. So we created a 20,000 unit gap just in that time. So that is an actual supply and demand issue. But also found things like 100,000 of our residents are cost burden, paying more than 30% of their income for housing. And 50,000 of those are extremely cost burden, paying more than 50%. And I talk to people every day who are paying 80%, and people are getting increases that will put them over their income. It's just getting terrible, basically. So our vision for this, and I'm giving you all a handout because we're going to go through the bond issue and stuff really quickly, but we want to make sure there's enough housing for our workforce and for the people that make living in Palm Beach County so wonderful. We have to make sure we have the teachers, the people that work in Publix and restaurants. It's not just about recruiting new businesses, but that's important. We lost 600 new jobs that would have paid an average of $80,000 a year, and the reason was they couldn't find housing for their employees. And we even had a new one where the CEO couldn't find something that they found acceptable. So when we can't house, CEOs on Palm Beach, we're really having a problem. But you can imagine it's affecting the lowest income people the most. So for the past year, and our goal is to create 20,000 units, and it's going to be done through a number of different things. It's going to be workforce and affordable. So basically, you can say people making $100,000 and below, but someone making $100,000 can afford a $300,000 house, and our average home price is $845,000. Our median home price is $525,000. So nothing adds up right now. So we've had a group working together, and actually the Housing Leadership Council has just been the administrator for this group called the Palm Beach County Housing Steering Committee. And that has had all the expertise in it: developers, realtors, bankers, everybody that really needs to be involved in this. The school district, our largest employers, everybody you can think of with this. And the plan includes 4 main areas: funding and financing. That's a real key point. We found out we can't do a lot of this other stuff without the money. Planning and regulatory reform. There are so many things we can improve in that area. We're doing a lot of things right, but honestly, with a 20,000 unit gap, we have to tighten things up and get better. Neighborhood revitalization and community development. We have so many great older neighborhoods that we really have to pay attention to and make sure that people can stay there, that it's a neighborhood that's desirable and a neighborhood that we want new business people to move to, and our current residents. And then of course, we want to do all this through a racial equity lens. And we're also going to have a part regarding the administration of it, because it's not a self-implementing plan. We are going to need cooperation from the county and all the municipalities. So that's a really important part of it, that we get everybody to join in on the same page. I know you've done some great work. I had the pleasure of working with John Leva with the NSB2 funds and really got a great start here. You guys know how to do it. But the funding is a big issue. So we are going, and I think I can talk about that at length too, but we got our state housing trust funds get cut every year. So we've just decided, with the slowness of the federal funds and regulations, we have to take our destiny into our own hands. So we're doing that with a proposed $200 million bond issue. And that is something that will primarily be used to fill gaps, to provide cheaper money to developers, and have the market really help us build these units. And that will free up some of the other funding we get to really work on homelessness, extremely low income. We've really got to have a catalyst, and we felt that the bond issue would be a way to go. And as I said, we worked on this committee where we had developers telling us what they would need, bankers saying, I would never finance that in a million years with that, or, this would work. So we're down to going to the Board of County Commissioners in 2 weeks. Because if we have to put it on the ballot, I think we're going to have to. Our time frame is really short because we have to go through the process of selling it to the public, but sell it to you guys too. So the first thing is a GO bond, general obligation bond, and I put this all in the notes. It has to be approved by a referendum. It's going to take a while. If we get it approved in November 2022. Not a sure shot. We have to work at that. It has to be validated. We won't have funds for probably a year, but got to start now. And it's payable from a separate ad valorem tax levy on all taxable properties. So that's something where everybody would be paying it back, incorporated areas, unincorporated. But we did an analysis and found out it would be $6 a year per $500,000 in property value. So it really won't be a big burden, I think, on the community. And the county wants to use this type because it would have to go to the voters and it wouldn't be included in their, it's a separate line item, so they wouldn't have to include it in their debt and wouldn't affect their rollback rate. But it can only be used for capital projects. We kind of went through it with our bond attorneys, and there's a lot of things we can't do with general obligation bonds. In fact, primarily the only thing we can do is gap financing, where a developer may come in. We may say, here's some funding, and in return for that funding, they would deed restrict apartments, houses, whatever they build with that. And proceeds have to be used for a paramount public purpose. So any profits could just be incidental. But as I said, it really limits. Like, I know the county wants to do more with home ownership and subsidy. Can't really do that with a general obligation bond. The other type of bond is a revenue bond. And that's something that it's just what it says. The county would issue bonds and pay for it out of their debt. And I have a slide deck I can show you that the county actually has a lot of debt rolling off. So we really can afford this. We have to convince them they can afford it. But they're a little bit more, on the county end, they have to take responsibility for paying the debt back. So obviously, as a municipality, I'm sure you'd prefer the revenue because that would put it on the county, but it doesn't require a referendum. And obviously, an earlier start date. I remember at one point the county did a parks and recreation bond, and I was like shocked. Within a couple months, the money was going in and the parks were being improved. And so, and apparently they do this all the time. I guess I don't really pay attention to it. I sure am now. But this is, and the sources used to repay it are collected in the unincorporated area only. So that, as I said, is the selling point for the county. But we propose that if it was used in a municipality, maybe we could have a match. We could have something, to have the municipality put some stake in it. But the county with their AAA bond rating are really the only ones that can issue this bond. And it's not limited to capital projects. We could do a lot more with it. And these proceeds have to be used for a public purpose, just like any funds, but a paramount public purpose is not required. And that means there's a lot more leeway with it. So we can start to address lower incomes. We can address things that aren't strictly, you can do infrastructure, you can do a lot more with it if we can get the revenue bond. And we are bringing this to the county commission on 2 weeks from Tuesday. And this is really just our focal point, our impetus for it, show the business community. And we have gotten approval from the Economic Council on the plan, the BDD, the chambers. I almost forget where I am every day because I go around and just talk about this. Usually I have our bond attorney with us, Skip Miller. So if you have any more specific questions about the bond, we're very fortunate to have a bond attorney on our group doing this together. And this all has to be leveraged. can probably do the math. We're trying to do 20,000 units, $200 million. That's only 10,000 a unit.
Mhm.
So this is going to have to be heavily leveraged, but that's really the whole idea. Unfortunately, our sale funds took a big hit in the state, latest state housing trust fund round. It's the worst we've ever seen. We all are SHIP dollars, not all are sale. So we really need these funds to replace that. These bonds would only be used for affordable and workforce, no market rate. The only thing that would get subsidy or not subsidy, the cheaper money they would get for this, they would deed restrict any units or houses in return for that. But everything else has to come together. We have to have some of the regulatory reforms. We have to work on other things such as impact fees. The county does have an impact fee reimbursement plan. We need to expand that. We need to expand the zones. And I'll have the pretty plan for you with all the charts in a week. Somebody was late with their comments, the county. So we're a little late getting this out, but we do have a slide deck. I'm glad to do a presentation, and I'm glad to have any of the folks that have worked on this, as I said, for 2 years now. And that's been all the big developers. It's been all the big banks, the realtors, everybody came together every single month, twice a month for 2 years now, really working on this plan. And that's what we're bringing forward. And I'm happy to answer any questions, but I also, in your handout, you'll have my information and the bond attorney who really can answer any questions about this. But I'm really trying to get things going. It's way beyond time to address this.
Thank you very, very much. I mean, you're addressing, this is an issue that we are all, our hearts are broken. People, we had Erica Whitfield here last week saying that Lakewood Middle School has the highest homeless population of students in Palm Beach County.
Right.
I have a couple of questions.
Sure.
So this money would be used only for capital, for building new housing, building new.
That would be the GO bond, general obligation
That's
bond.
right.
It really couldn't be used for much more than capital projects.
Okay.
And it would be very restricted.
Right. And so it's a little scary because we're looking at putting in 20,000 units by 10 years, 2032, and we're 20 behind right now. So it's-
Well, that was our idea that that's how we came up with the number, that we're that far behind, and that's basic supply and demand, that once we add units, it'll become cheaper all the way down. I mean, that's the problem you find out when people say the rent's going to go up by 600, 800 a month. They can't negotiate because they'll say, I got 60 people in line behind them that will take that apartment. So we really got to add to the supply.
Mhm.
But all these other things need to happen too, and we're going to work on building capacity. We need money on the table every year at Florida Housing Finance. There's so many ways that we can really get behind this plan and really amplify things.
Is that the 9:30 hearing on March 29th?
It is.
I have on my calendar a housing county workshop on there. Okay.
Yeah. Yep. That's it.
Do you have any idea whether the county is leaning towards either of the two options, revenue or general obligation?
The county staff definitely wants general obligation bonds. But we do have county commissioners who have talked about, we have to address the need now, and many feel there's no higher priority than this right now. So I think a compromise position is 100 million in revenue and 100 million in GO. We use the GO whenever we can first, especially after we get both up and running. And then things we couldn't do with the GO, we have the revenue bonds, which are much more flexible and would allow us to do more things with it.
Because really, three of you have there's a figure here of the general obligation bond would have an annual cost of $3 per $100,000 worth of house.
Nothing.
It seems like, why don't we ask for more?
But, people don't pay attention, and they, and we can ask for more. In fact, we almost got this passed right before the pandemic. We went before the commission in March of, what was that now, 2020, and they were ready to do 150 million for housing, 150 million for the environment, but then the pandemic hit and COVID ruins everything. So, but, we are up to 200 million now. And there's also been talk about a 50 million ad valorem allocation for homelessness in extremely low income supportive housing, because that would be tough to do with any bond funds. So we are saying that, we've got to take care of that population because our teachers are low income. I mean, we really,
It's insane.
but we have to get the market forces working for us. And that's why we run all this by developers. And they said, sure, if we can make the numbers work and we go to our investors and they sign off on it, honestly, they don't care what they build. And that's where we've gotten the bankers sign off too, that, yeah, this is something that we would back. It's something that you could get loans on. So we really try to be careful in this and plan for something that would.
Does anybody have any other questions?
I just have one clarifying question. Was it $3 per 100,000 or 6 per 500,000?
It is 6 per 500,000. I probably made a typo on that.
So that's even better.
Yeah, really,
Yeah,
really, that's a couple of questions.
yeah.
Thank you.
And on the revenue bond, it's just debt service that the county would have to pay. Because these will be repayable, and that's why they're not gonna work for everything. Very little could be granted or approved for that. So it would be about 14 million a year, and I'll send that chart, which will show how much debt is dropping off in the next year. In fact, we could afford to do the environmental in this. But, Virginia, I mean, Ms. Baker, she should be, I'm sorry, I'm friends with her, is very worried about, the budget and everything that's happening, because who could have predicted what happened these last 2 years?
One more question. Is this for rentals or ownership?
Oh,
Okay,
because we really do want to provide, there's a severe shortage of rentals, and that's where you can make the quickest impacts. I would say a lot of the projects, and we have stuff lined up. I've talked to market rate developers that are, if you can get these funds to meet, sure. As I said, if they think their pro forma will work at the end of the game, they can keep their investors happy. They don't really care. So that's why we think it's really important that we have this cheaper debt to put in here. And it makes a big difference if they can get nonprofits that would be 0% or for-profits that would be 1%. And that's pretty cheap, but equity is not cheap right now. And that's what we really have to close the gap on, and what would make this so attractive.
thank you. Vice Mayor,
Does Tallahassee have any involvement in this?
No, this would be all on our own, which is the beauty of it, where it would be our own money. They can't touch this.
And there would be no punishment from Tallahassee to do something that they.
No, in fact, the other thing is most other major counties have this. Miami has it, Broward has it, Pinellas has it. Orlando is working on a bond issue. I mean, everybody has realized that, they're going to be in the same situation. Not only will they lose $680,000 a year jobs, but our teachers, the people that call me and say, I'm out. I can't afford to live here anymore. And that breaks my heart. And I get those calls every single day.
thank you very much. Oh, I'm sorry.
You mentioned that to make this work, there were other pieces, the obviously funding and financing and leveraging you mentioned, but planning and regulatory form. Is that at the county level that you need things, and how optimistic are you that you can get the other pieces, assuming that the funding comes, that you can get these other pieces that you need?
Well, that's what we say. It's not a self-implementing plan, but that's something where we love Lakewood Beach, everybody to work with us on that. And this part of the plan, we had to get the bond issue done and on the agenda for 2 weeks. The plan we can keep working on, but Ms. Baker really, Administrator Baker said she preferred to see the plan before they voted on that. But this is going to be a living document. We are going to keep revising it, and we've looked all over the country for the best ideas, the best we could do on this, and really things that have worked in other places, and we could adapt to this area. So we would love to have you on board, and then the advantage of having the funding from the municipality. We're trying to tweak other things like the workforce housing program. And I know Lakewood Beach has benefited from the exchange program we have. So we're just trying to get as creative as we can. And as I said, not leave any money on the table with Florida Housing Finance Corporation as well.
Good, and I would echo the mayor's suggestion. Can we ask for a little more? I mean, it seems like in the $3-6 range, it isn't a crazy amount.
Yeah.
Obviously, nobody likes to raise taxes, but
Yeah.
as you point out, the economic benefits of making sure people have a place to live
Yeah.
in the county is And not that they're moving way up to Port St. Lucie and driving back and forth and all the issues that come with that.
Yeah, and they're all calling saying they can't afford that drive anymore, and they're taking houses up there.
Right.
But we were told by the commissioner, who is kind of our turf on this and leading the way, that this is what could be sold, but anything could be proposed in 2 weeks. And I think, as I said, I don't see any bigger crisis. I work in housing, but I think it's in the paper every day. I just think it's of paramount importance that we address this. So sure, show up and or contact the commissioners and say we're behind this and really think doing this investment that could be made.
Can we act on a consensus tonight? Do whatever she wants.
Sure. I plan on being at that meeting. I mean, I'm hoping I don't get a court hearing or something, but yeah, I mean, I think we should all go and support this because this is primary to the survival of everybody. I mean, we need it.
I think Commissioner, Vice Mayor Robinson's suggestion, could we put in quickly a letter just simply saying, we are very aware of this problem, we're very aware of it in our city, and we support this effort. Is that worth doing?
Absolutely.
I mean,
Why not? Yeah.
I think saying you're willing to work with it because they really want to know that we have municipalities.
Oh, no,
Oh, yeah, we're all in.
behind it.
So
Yeah, we're all
that
in.
would mean a lot.
Okay.
Because
Let's do it.
they just.
Great idea. Okay, good idea,
And
Herman.
we
Thank you.
will fight like heck with this.
Yeah.
I'm sure.
See you on the 29th.
It gets through, and I will send you the plan. Well, as soon as it's done, I'll make sure y'all get a copy of the plan.
And an appointment for the 29th.
No, it's
It's
Commission-
not the meeting.
commission meeting.
Workshop. It's a county commission workshop. We just,
Right, but
it's
an
a county.
appointment Put on our calendar.
Yes.
I already have it on my calendar.
Well, you're ahead.
Yeah.
perfect. Thank
Well,
you.
thank you so much.
Thank you very much. This is really so critical.
good luck.
Yeah, we're behind you.
Just asking.
Okay. Next up,
Madam Mayor, I just want us to be mindful that just anything might come out of Vice Mayor's mouth tonight
He
because
has
no,
nothing to lose.
he has nothing to lose and all to gain, and he's gonna make this a fun meeting. I can already tell by his personality today.
he's got a big cup of coffee. All right, next we have Carmel, Marcel, and Chapman, Project Director of Healthier Lakewood, who will share their accomplishments with their many accomplishments with us.
Hi, everyone.
Hi.
Oh,
Good evening. Thank you so much. It's such a privilege to represent the community this evening and talk about the Healthier Lakewood Beach accomplishment for the last 5 years. Although 5 years of accomplishment is very hard to talk about in 10 minutes.
I was gonna say, that's,
Yeah, but I will do my best to actually go through the slides very quickly. And what I'm about to share with you is just not even 1/3 of what the community has accomplished. So. Sorry.
that good?
Go ahead. Is that a video? No, it's just a slide.
There we go.
Okay, so, our tagline is many hands, hearts, and hands working together for a healthier and equal beach. Meaning a city's assets is its people, so it's all the people, the communities combined together that's working to make healthier and equal beach. Improving on the behavioral health of healthier and equal beach.
Oh. Nope, next one. There we go.
So who we are Healthier Lakewood Beach, we are local partners, the city of Lakewood Beach, key stakeholders, neighborhood associations, grassroots leaders, small businesses, faith-based leaders, and Lakewood Beach residents, of course. So Healthier Lakewood Beach is one of the 6 Healthier Together communities funded by Palm Health Foundation. a community that is committed to supporting community health initiatives like ours that promote the adoption of healthy lifestyles that tackle the social and economic and environmental factors that impact health in our neighborhoods. We are a community-driven initiative, resident-led initiative. The community and its residents decide what changes that they want to see. And it is our job to empower them to build their capacity and provide them with operational financial support that they need to assist them in achieving these changes that they want to see. So how it all started, 5 years ago, it all began right here when a group of community residents, grassroots leaders, and business owners sat in this very room here to discuss data, qualitative data that was collected from the community and its residents. It also began the process of making sense of what healthier Lakewood Beach would look like in Lakewood Beach.
There we go.
And when we put this data together and we did an analysis, so it reveals this chart here to where the community, they actually chose, when we sort the data, we narrowed it then to 10 community priorities and then to 5 community priorities. So the way we did that is that we put together the theme that came out the most. Where, like, you know, for example, neighborhood health and community environment came up, 117 times. And safety came up so many different times. And resources, recreation and resources came up, so many different times. So those areas that came up the most, that have the highest numbers, those are the ones that became the community's 5 top priorities. And with that, we ended up creating our Healthier Lakewood Beach mission and vision. So our mission is that Healthier Lakewood Beach seeks to improve behavioral health by improving the cleanliness, environment, and safety of Lakewood's neighborhood, and to promote healthy behaviors that impact the overall health and well-being of its residents. And also with that, our vision was also created, which Healthier Lakewood Beach envisions a proud and unified Lakewood Beach where youth are thriving, families are engaged, and neighborhoods are healthy environments for all residents. So we also, our funding, as I said before, is coming from Palm Health Foundation. So since 2017, Healthier Lakewood Beach has received $200,000 per year from Palm Health Foundation. This funding ends, it's been 5 years already, so this funding ends in June 30th of this year. So the $200,000 provide funding to the community to support the changes they want to see in Lakewood Beach. In addition, the funds also used to cover the project director's salary, fiscal agent fees, and other administrative costs to run the initiative. And also with the data that we collected, we also created, the community also came up with a framework. Okay, that framework was created to address the 5 or the 4 top priorities of what the community see was a problem related to their behavioral health. One is youth, giving access to youth for resources that they felt like Lakewood Beach didn't have enough access for the youth, enough access to resources for the youth to actually really grow and just get to where they need to get to, as far as in high school, in their high school career, but also going to college. And also neighborhood health. Neighborhood health is the issue with the trash in Lakewood and the alleys, and in certain community, there was a lack of, which created a lack of safety and also access to resources. So the way they decided that they were going to handle all these top priorities is through using our community engagement platform by engaging all residents and everybody in the community to work together to improve on the well-being of Lakewood. So we built that, we did that by building a network of local partners, including city leaders, that is you guys here, key stakeholders, local schools, and business and faith-based leaders. So we began by addressing the trash and the trash concerns in our communities, scheduling monthly cleanups since 2018. We started with 2 neighborhoods as a pilot program. And during that time, we did 20 cleanups in 10 months, which we were having 2 cleanups with Pineapple Beach and Whispering Palms. Then we started including Royal Consider, and now the cleanups have grown from 2 neighborhoods to 11 neighborhoods, with strong support from the Solid Waste Authority as our partner, the city's refuse division, and the recycling division. And this is a real change in behavior. This is a picture of some of the cleanups that we had. We've engaged the schools where we will, station, the Saturdays of the cleanup in front of the school, or the resident, they will choose a spot where everybody meet on a Saturday, and we gather there, and with the supplies that we get from SWA, and we just clean and pick up tons of trash. On any given Saturdays, we have the cleanup set up. As you can see, these are some of the students that we engage at South Grade Elementary School, I'm sorry. Some of the youth in the neighborhood for the children. And this is what it looks like before the cleanup. And this is what it can look like after the cleanup. And this is what we've been doing for the past 5 years. And now the cleanup effort gained momentum, residents began to identify permanent solutions to reduce the frequency of the cleanups. This led to an Adopt the Street campaign, the first of its kind in Lakewood Beach, and soon thereafter, to install trash cans in the high trash area of the Lakewood Beach. This is the Adopt the Street. You will see that towards the south end of Lakewood, and these are the trash cans, chosen by the community, by the residents, with the support of the city of Lakewood Beach, working together with the residents to have these trash cans installed. So as the neighborhood residents began to work together to bring about the change they wanted to see, this included improving safety with a crime watch program in partnership with our local PBSO and the city's public works division, to where PBSO actually guided the residents to how to get the signs, where to go get them, and what to put on the signs. And then the city's public works division actually identified spots to put the signs, and those signs were installed by the city of Lakewood Beach public works division. So this is all showing that how the community has collaborated together, to support the residents and the changes. Our sponsorship program has distributed hundreds of thousands of dollars to increase access to resources and build capacity, including food distribution, early childhood literacy, homework assistance, support to our local PPSO with new programs that engage youth, and implement neighborhood programs in the community. This is a sponsorship that was given to the Lakewood Beach Library to create a program called Create Lab that gave access to many more laptops, printers, and charging stations for students to come to the Lakewood Beach Library and get assistance with homework.
Madam Mayor, I'm sorry to interrupt, but that's 10 minutes.
Can you wrap up quickly?
Yes. So as you go to these pictures, you will see that, all the stuff that, we have done. So the reason that, and we have done that to all community engagement. So the reason that we are here this evening is because we, as I mentioned earlier, that, these fundings, although Farm Health Foundation is committed to paying the project director's salary for the next 2 years, however, they will not fund community project. But they will sit down with the city of Lakewood Beach and talk about beyond commitment, commitment beyond the 5 years. So we ask that, that you've seen, the value of Healthier Lakewood Beach. And we are here to ask to help that, Healthier Lakewood Beach be sustained. And, to just discuss how, we can bring sustainability to Healthier Lakewood Beach and continue Healthier Lakewood Beach in the community beyond the 5 years.
Okay, thank you very much. I know Commissioner Malega has been really involved with Healthier Lakewood. So what you're asking us to do is perhaps the city manager, if a couple of people sit down and see how we can help you. We don't have any money to give you,
We know, I know that.
but to try to figure out other grants or different things, we certainly support the program. It's a wonderful program. We've had terrific successes. So I would like consensus from the commission just to, allow our staff and us to participate and try to help and see what we can do to continue the sustain Healthier Lakewood. It's a great program.
100%.
So do I have consensus?
Yes.
All right, done.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. And thank you for all you do. I know it's an amazing project. Okay, so much fun. Next is a presentation of life-saving plaque to Rosavaldo Albert, and I think Laura Bennett is here for that. I need a lot of
Back in the
staff
flesh.
input from that. I know.
Good evening, Madam Mayor. For the record, Lauren Bennett, Director of the Leisure Services Department. I'm very honored to present this award to such a fabulous teammate. Before I do so, I just want to give a little bit of a background of the story. On January 17th, 2022, while off duty and on his way home, parking enforcement officer Rosavaldo Albert noticed an elderly gentleman in distress sitting in his vehicle in the casino parking lot. Albert approached the gentleman to ask him if he was okay, as he seemed disoriented and in need of medical help. Albert immediately called 911 to alert the authorities and additionally flagged down a PBSO officer to get on the scene. The Palm Beach County Fire Rescue Emergency Medical Team arrived and transported the gentleman to the hospital as he needed immediate medical attention. The Palm Beach County Sheriff's Police officer that responded to the call stopped by the parking enforcement office a few days later and mentioned that the gentleman that Albert aided a few days ago was having a heart attack. And if not for Albert's prompt and quick judgment, the gentleman would not have survived. We are happy to say that the citizen is doing well and is recovering. Albert, on behalf of the City of Lakewood Beach, we would like to thank you for your selfless act while off duty and your heroic action taking and saving human life. Our parking team, you guys want to help me with this?
Come on up, come on. It's a team.
That's right.
Sure, Larry, give me
Come on up.
Ricardo. Get up.
We have such great people working for us. Thank you so much. And I don't think Lauren's going to go too far, because next are the certificates of appreciation for the Lakewood Lifeguards. Are you going to make a presentation on this, Lauren?
No, I was told you were.
I'm sorry?
I was told you were.
And I was not told that.
I
So
could make a presentation.
I wish you would. Thank you.
Come on, you're refreshed.
You've got
You had 2 weeks. Let's go.
I'm gonna need some help.
Thank you. This is very specific.
Okay, so Lauren Bennett, Director of Leisure Services for the record. I also have with me Doug Yoakum, he's our aquatics manager, and I'm actually gonna let Doug kind of recap the specific day because there was actually more than one incident that our fabulous team handled since it's spring break. So I'm gonna start this up and let Doug kind of explain to you guys the scenario.
Basically, what was it, Saturday the 5th? This time of year, we're very busy. With the weather conditions and everything, we've had a lot of rip currents, a lot of people. Saturday, the 5th was basically, we had 5, 6, 7 rescues that day. The whole team working that day did a really good job. Pulled people in. All of our rescues happened off of our property. We have a major rip current, which sets down probably 500 yards from our beach in front of the condos. So we spend most of our time responding down there, pulling people out. And it was just one of those days where we can't say it was one person, we can't say it was 2 people. It was really a whole team effort of the job that these guys do. And just so you guys are aware, it's an everyday occurrence there. This is not something that happens once in a while. You know, these guys do this every day of the week pretty much. So.
And I want to add with a smile on their face.
Absolutely.
Always.
Absolutely. I cruise the beach at least once or twice a day. And I always see them walking across and that, like, looks like they have, I mean, it's a life-saving job and my God, the stress of that. But on the other hand, you're at the beach all day.
Yeah, well, I think that day we had, what, 2 people transported to the hospital, and then we actually didn't get closed until after 5 o'clock, because right at 5 o'clock, we had to go and get somebody else. By the time we got out, we left, we were clocking out, leaving. As we were leaving, fire rescue was pulling back up in. Somebody else had gone out there after we left, and they were pulled 2 more people out. A surfer that was out there happened to be there, got them, and they transported both those guys to the hospital.
Well, thank you so much. I'm going to read the names of we have certificates. This is a token of the thanks that we have and the respect that we have for you, for what you do every day, because it really takes your own life into danger as well. So I'm going to read you by the name. Certificate of appreciation is presented to for your extraordinary service and dedication. And as I read your name, please come up, and then we're going to have a handshake. And I'm sure that the Lakewood Herald is still here. Okay. All right. First up, Nick Agabaria.
He's not here.
He's not here. All right.
Nick and Sam Jansen, Sarah Nichols were not able.
Okay. Gary Highland. Is it Highland? Thank you.
Yeah,
Sam
come on.
Jensen.
Come on.
Come on up.
Come on up.
Is Sam Jensen not here?
Sam's not here.
Okay. Nicola Lugo. Frankie Mule.
Frank's here.
Frank's here. Sarah Nichols. Hi.
She's not here.
She's not here. Okay. Frank Roper. Xavier DeSalis. And Doug Yoakum. Last but not least, speaker.
Okay.
Okay, Xavier. Frank.
Robert.
Frank, you? How are you?
Mickey's like, I'll take one.
Nicola. That's Nicola, not Nicola.
Nicola.
Nicola, okay, Gary. You must be Gary. Thank you so much for everything. I think Lauren should be at the other end. Yes. This is a team effort. We just get to do the fun stuff.
Close your eyes on 3.
1,
2, 3.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mark.
We should build a county.
Lauren, can I give these to you or
The county.
I'll take them.
I was gonna say, could you take them? Mr. Yoakum? Thank you so much. Lauren. Thank you. It's good to see Lauren back after her little brief respite, after pulling off with her staff the most incredible street painting festival.
That's right. Give her a hand.
Let's get. Okay. Mom, get some rest.
Recharge.
I don't have the proclamation about the Ward's Place. Was that removed?
Yes, Madam Mayor, I'm sorry, Sylvina's getting it for you, so if you can maybe go to the proclamation for Women's History Month, we'll reverse them.
That's that. All right. Our wonderful new city manager realized that we do a lot of proclamations for worthy causes, but bike month, we got bike month, but we didn't get Women's Month. So I'm here to read with pride a proclamation that was drafted by our own Ms. Davis. Whereas Every year, the month of March is designated as Women's History Month by presidential proclamation to honor women's contributions in American history. And whereas throughout history, extraordinary women have made significant contributions to the growth and strength of our state and nation in countless ways. And whereas through leadership, innovation, and ingenuity, generations of women have made significant contributions in science, medicine, technology, business, entrepreneurship, and arts and culture. And whereas today more women are their family's primary income earner than ever before, women comprise half of our nation's workers, and they are increasingly among the most skilled. Whereas the 2022 Women's History Month theme is Women Providing Healing, Promoting Hope, a tribute to the ceaseless work of caregivers and frontline workers during this ongoing pandemic, and also a recognition of the thousands of ways that women of all cultures have provided both healing and hope throughout history. And whereas the growing impact of women in our workforce has bolstered our economy and strengthened our families, and whereas the women of every background were early leaders in the forefront of major movements for social change. And whereas women have been leaders in securing their own rights of suffrage and equal opportunity and in the abolitionist, emancipation, industrial labor, civil rights, and peace movements, creating a more fair and just society for all. And whereas despite their contributions, the role of women in history has been consistently overlooked and undervalued in literature, education, culture. And whereas, thank you. And whereas this month, we celebrate countless pioneering women and their victories, and we continue our work to build a society where our daughters have the same possibilities as our sons. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lake Worth Beach, by virtue of the authority vested in me, and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim March 2022 as Women's History Month in Lake Worth Beach, Florida. And I have set my hand and caused the city to affix this 15th day of March 2022. Thank you very much. Well, Sylvina's not here yet, but Madam Clerk, help me out here. We have the Lord's Place coming on deck, and then we would go to Commission Liaison. There's not.
Oh, there's a
What-
proclamation for the support of the Ukraine.
No, that was
Yeah,
deleted.
that's taken off.
Madam
That's
Chair.
We're doing that as a
It was
resolution.
replaced with a resolution.
Okay, so we're just, as soon as we get the Lord's Place sleep out, we'll get it. So next, when Sylvina comes, we'll just stop for a second. Next are Commission Liaison reports and comments. Let's start with District 1.
NAPC meeting was very thought-provoking this past weekend. That was on this past Saturday. And most of the neighborhoods had representation. We've got a lot of good things going on at the Neighborhood Association President's Council. Howard Park was a big success for field day. There were about 80 kids there, about 5 parents for 80 kids. It was great babysitting. But that was a huge success. Digital Vibes was out there, as well as the Lake Worth Beach Jaguars doing some fundraising. So that was fun. On deck this weekend, I have the Royal Point Sienna neighborhood meeting on Wednesday. And otherwise, I'm just getting excited and looking forward to a great Pride Festival next week on Saturday and Sunday at Bryant Park. Next weekend.
2 weeks.
Yeah, that's not this weekend,
Not this weekend.
27th and 26th.
Thank you. Commissioner McCoy.
Very short, just to report that it is in fact bicycle month, and the Transportation Planning Agency for the county organized a ride up in West Palm Beach on Friday, which I was able to join along with Mayor Weinrose from the county and Vice Mayor Chelsea Reed from, I want to say West Palm Beach or Palm Beach Gardens, one of those two. That is sort of in the context of what we'll talk about later, Vision Zero, making our communities safer and more positive for multi-modes of transportation, whether pedestrian, bicycle, or cars.
Thank you. Commissioner Lilly? No, you're not. Lilly. It's been a long day. I'm sorry, Commissioner Stokes.
Hi, the only thing that I'm really focusing on right now or thinking about that I want the community to know about is that we do have a runoff a week from today. And the entire city is continuing to vote in this election, even though all of the charter amendments passed through. And I was hoping that our attorney could clarify that that doesn't take place until the next election cycle.
That's correct.
So everybody that voted in the election can now vote again in the runoff.
At large.
At large, it's still at large for now. So I just want to clarify that because I think I've been hearing some confusion out there, and I would hate for people to sit home because they don't know that
Oh,
they have
right.
that opportunity. So that's about it for me. And we do have the St. Patty's Day parade this week, Thursday,
Mhm.
coming up. It is spring break for the kids. So
It's
Tons of fun
a
stuff.
fun time will be had by all.
yeah.
Last but not least, as far as commissioners are concerned, Vice Mayor Herman Robinson, give us your last comment
Well,
For real this time.
thank you, Lake Worth Beach.
from this
no,
side of the dais. No, we're gonna hear him over there.
Well, and I look forward to your success in the coming years. And I'm so glad that we live in a democracy that people vote and make their wishes felt. I know, I said it last night about the underperforming assets that we have, but the main asset we have is the people, and they are what make this community what it is. I look forward to activity, progress on improvements at our oceanfront park, Bryant Park waterfront, the Gulfstream Hotel, and a park study of the best use of our parkland. So with that, I truly am going to miss all of you. And I'm just getting to know Carmen, and I'm going to miss her a lot too.
We will continue.
But success to all of you.
Well, we want to thank you again. No more presents, but we want to thank you. Okay, you got the cake, but we want to thank you again. It's a good opportunity. Thank you again, Herman, for the many years you've been involved in our city for longer than you've been on the commission, and we look forward to your.
Thank you for stepping up to leadership.
Thank you. Yeah, we're a team, and we're gonna miss you. It's gonna be a whole new ballpark.
I'll be
You'll be around. I have no doubt at all. I have just a couple quick ones. Florida League of Cities, the legislature, closed down and is over, and they did terrible things. As far as I'm concerned, I think cities are concerned in terms of people that are able to sue us, the limitations on our power. They did a whole lot of things that we don't appreciate. The one thing we do know is that we did get the complete $450,000 for the Parrot Cove drainage project, which was what we were hoping to get, and they did fully fund that. So we are working on that. This Saturday, Downtown Jewel Neighborhood Association, the party crowd of the neighborhood associations, is having their annual falafing event. It's a fundraiser that we always buy books and supplies for the kids. And what it is 9 people in the downtown Jewel, which is Lake Avenue down to 6 from Dixie to Federal. 9 of us turn our yards into like miniature golf holes. And it's $25. And you walk around the neighborhood, you get to know your neighbors, get to know people. There's alcohol involved. And you can adult beverages.
You say downtown Jewel, I mean.
I did say downtown Jewel.
That's kind of a given.
Okay, right. We can't help ourselves. And it's really a lot of fun. There's a party and prizes at the end. It's an annual event. I don't know how many this is, but it's a lot. And it's a lot of fun. And it starts, I believe, at Rudy's Pub this year on Saturday. And there's more on this on Facebook. One more thing. A couple of weeks ago, Erica Whitfield from our school board member came to us and gave us a little update. And part of that, which was just tragic, was the fact that Lakewood Middle School has the most homeless students in Palm Beach County. Someone from the community has put on Facebook, and they're starting a drive for students, for supplies for students. And that means deodorant, toothpaste, toothbrushes, hairbrushes, sanitary products for deodorant, socks, underwear. These kids don't have that stuff. And I'm calling out to the people that are watching. I'm calling out to, we are a community. Those are our kids. And you can either bring supplies to Lakewood Middle School, or if you get them to City Hall, I will make sure that they get where they need to go. These kids need to live, to not have everything unavailable. So I implore you, my friends, my commissioners, to really reach out. Let's dig in deep. If somebody wants to give money, we can only take a trip to Costco and buy a lot of stuff. But it's so important. And these kids work so hard and they have so much against them. Also, on May 2nd, they are funding and they're looking for funds for this to sponsor an appreciation lunch for the teachers at Lakewood Middle School. If anybody wants to give 25, 50, whatever you can get, $10, whatever you can give to show these teachers. I mean, we talk about homelessness, we talk about affordable housing, and our teachers are teachers who can barely afford to live are teaching homeless children. Let that sink in for a second. So I implore everyone in this room and everyone in our city to reach out, reach into your hearts and help our kids, because those kids are on the verge of going into high school and they've got to have a solid foundation. And if you don't have a toothbrush, you can't even brush your teeth. So please help us. Thank you. That's all I have. Okay, now I lost my script. The manager's report. Do you have a report?
Madam Mayor, I do have a few items to share today. Want to update you on our budget process. The budget team and I are getting together, setting the stage for us to approach our fiscal year 2023 budget year. I just want to make you aware and alert to be on a lookout. We've sent you a calendar, a schedule of meeting dates, and we have refined them due to working out some conflicts among some of the commissioners. And so you will receive an updated calendar date. So be looking forward to that. And if there are any conflicts, please let me know. We're excited about getting that kicked off soon.
We're all going to buy lottery tickets, and if we win, we'll give it to the city.
Also, I want to congratulate one of our own, as we mentioned here, about a few of them we celebrated today, but I also want to celebrate and congratulate Jamie Brown. He's not here today and he's not even aware that I was mentioning this, but I want to make sure that you all know that he was recently appointed to a leadership position as the incoming state president for the American Public Works Association.
What?
Wow. Sure we make you aware of that.
Absolutely.
That we have leadership that is worthy of state recognition and bringing his skills and knowledge to the state association. So
That's awesome.
because we want to make sure our team
Driver
is
training is part of it.
part of the leadership in every area that we work on, right? So so recently he traveled to Atlanta to take over as the new president, and that was at no cost to the city, so you know. So we're excited about that. So I want to say congratulations to Jamie Brown.
Yeah.
Also, want to remind everyone, as we talked about the election and the runoff coming up on March 22nd, the swearing in ceremony is scheduled for March 28th at Bryant Park at 6 p.m.
Good.
We want to make sure everyone's aware of that.
That's good.
And also, as I become more familiar with the community, I'm getting invited more and more to different community association meetings. So I recently attended the College Park community meeting. And so that was great, introducing myself to the community. So I just want to make you aware that I will be making my rounds and excited about getting connected with the community. And with that, also want to share that I have a few speaking engagements coming up. So I will be speaking tomorrow, not tomorrow, but Thursday, March 17th at the Palm Beach Office of Equal Business Opportunity. They're having a virtual conversation with city and county managers. And so I will be part of a panelist of city and county managers, County Administrator Baker and Assistant Palm Beach County Administrator Dorette Miller, and Audrey McClue, who is the city manager for Green Acres, and also the village of Wellington, the Mayor Gerwick, and also me. So I'm excited to talk about how to do business with Lakewood Beach and introduce myself to the community. So I'm excited about that. And also the same day at 6:30, I will be attending the National Forum for Black Public Administrators monthly meeting. This is the South Florida chapter, and they have a monthly meeting, and they're meeting in Boynton Beach on Thursday evening. And so in celebration of Women's History Month, they're also allowed me an opportunity to come and introduce myself to the group, as well as another engagement that I'm joining Ms. Baker on, a county administrator. So she's being presented that day as well as me. So
Wow.
I'm excited about that. So I'm making my rounds and I'm so excited to be part of the community and getting out into the community. And one last thing, as I circulate around, I'm also getting out into our different departments. And as I get to know the operations and their functions and all the staff teams in all the departments, I'll be having on-site meetings for the week of the 21st and the 28th to all the departments. So I'll be circulating around. So if you don't see me in the office, that's where I'll be, out in the field, looking at all the faces that run this wonderful city. So I'm excited about that.
So it sounds like you've not been busy at all.
No.
No, not busy. So I think I need a few more things to do.
We were hoping you'd say
You
that.
will, but I'm so excited. So I was glad to share that, to let you know that I'm getting immersed and I'm making sure that I'm learning every inch of Lakewood Beach, and I'm excited.
Thank you. And thank you.
Thank you.
You're only here a short time already. You're on panels. We're very good. Thank you so much.
And I don't want any community group to feel left out. I will be making my rounds to your community. So
Thank you.
I hate to add, but can we authorize her to apply for Palm Beach County leadership?
Council
Sure.
training.
Of course. Yeah, there's a couple of them. That's a good idea.
oh, yes, I'm familiar with that. I was part of that in the Leadership Jackson.
Right. And of course, we're gonna get our own Lakewood Municipal Institute back up. Yes, thank you. The proclamation has arrived
Oh, wonderful.
regarding homelessness. There's a theme tonight, and it's not gonna go away easily. Whereas homelessness is a serious social and economic issue impacting all levels of our society. And whereas the city of Lakewood Beach and the Lord's Place recognize that all people deserve respect and a place to call home. And whereas the city of Lakewood Beach and the Lord's Place are partners in providing the respect and pathway to a brighter future for men, women, and families who are homeless in our community. And whereas the city of Lakewood Beach extends its appreciation to the Lord's Place for its leadership on this critical social issue and its wide array of successful programs and services changing the lives of the homeless one life at a time. And whereas the Lord's Place will hold its 15th annual sleep out to end homelessness on Friday, April 1st through Saturday morning, April 2nd at the United Methodist Church of the Palm Beaches. And whereas the Lord's Place will host Sleep Out 2022, both in person in a safe outdoor format, and provide a virtual component for those who prefer to remain home to encourage everyone in the community to participate and sleep out at the event or in their homes or backyards. And whereas everyone from every walk of life is invited to participate in Sleep Out 2022 to increase awareness of unhoused individuals and families and focus on the programs and services needed to break the cycle of homelessness. And whereas the mission of the Lord's Place is to break the cycle of homelessness by providing innovative, compassionate, and effective services to men, women, and children in our community. Now, therefore, I, Betty Resch, Mayor of the City of Lakewood Beach, by virtue of the authority vested in me and on behalf of the City Commission, do hereby proclaim April 1st, 2022 as Lord's Place Sleep Out Homelessness Awareness Day. And I have set my hand and caused the seal of the City of Lake Worth to be affixed this 15th day of March, 2022. Homelessness. It's just amazing.
If I might add a word or two with that, I'm very glad that we approved the third Burkle House as part of the Lord's Place projects here. Ed Burkle, you may know, just recently passed away, but we approved his project before he did, which I'm very glad of. And I certainly encourage people to join the Sleep Out. I've done it before, and it really is a very hands-on way to get a sense with the various programs they do that evening of why this is such a big deal and how to help out a bit more. So
Thank you. Yeah, I mean, okay, sorry. So where are we now? Public participation, non-agenda items and consent agenda. I have, Madam Clerk, do you have any input? Any public comment?
Yes, I have two.
Why don't you go first?
Okay, so first I have a letter that was sent to Supervisor of Elections, Wendy Sartori Link, from Alexander Schultz Esquire, PO Box 868 in Lake Worth Beach. Dear Supervisor Link, in order to prevent persons who are not registered in the proper district from voting in the March 2022 Lake Worth Beach Commission District 4 runoff election, the Supervisor of Elections must separately collect and separately count the ballots cast from voters actually residing in Lake Worth Beach Commission District 4. In the event it is ultimately determined by a court or other appropriate legal entities such as the Florida Election Crimes Unit, if referendum question 3, providing for single voting districts, was effective immediately and applicable to the March 22 runoff election. Regarding municipal charter amendments, Florida statute section 166.031 parentheses 2 provides all such amendments are effective on the date specified therein or as otherwise provided in the charter. The ballot question in issue stated single member district voting for city commissioners. Shall the city of Lake Worth Beach amend its charter at Article 3, Section 1 to provide for single member district voting wherein each commissioner shall be elected by the voters residing in his or her own district and will continue to represent the entire city, and with the mayor continuing to be elected by the voters of the city at large. If the above proposed charter amendment intended its effect to be other than immediately, it would have so specified as stated in section 166.031 parentheses 2, which requires the date specified therein to avoid an immediate effective date and specify a later effective date. Because the proposed charter amendment did not specify therein and a later effective date, the provision is effective immediately. This conclusion is consistent with section 166.031 parentheses 2 and the Lake Worth Beach Charter, because when the charter directly addresses effective dates, it provides, for example, this amendment shall become effective immediately upon approval by the electors. The supervisor elections must segregate the District 4 ballots in the event of a legal challenge and to avoid spoliation of evidence. The District 4 voters should not be denied their rights and have their votes diluted. The rights of the District 4 voters is the primary controlling concern. The nation has gone through 16 months of allegations that people have been voting in districts where they were not registered, and the state of Florida is implementing an election crimes unit to address such concerns. If the March 22nd District 4 votes are not separately counted, and it is ultimately determined that the charter amendment applies to the runoff, then we will have people voting in a district that they were not registered in on a mass scale. We may not have answers. That's the end of the time for that.
I would ask you to finish the, all right, we're gonna have some feedback response at some point from our city attorney. The next one?
Yes, the next one is Mercedes Rico, 622 South M. I am asking you to help with the parking, litter, and crime issues facing our community around 6th Avenue South. I have lived on both the north and south sides of Lake Worth for 15 years and just do not understand why our commission can't do the work to make the southern part of our city as clean, green, and safe as the northern part. We deserve to have our streets free of abandoned cars and litter just as much as anyone else does. Please do the right thing and solve these problems. There are solutions for them. We just need our commission to care about our quality of life too. That's the end of the comments that I have, Madam Mayor.
Thank you. I have two, Todd Townsend regarding the downtown parking.
Hey, everybody, Todd Townsend, 502 South J Street. Really good to see everybody having a good time. It's a really great commission. Everybody's chill, relaxed, enjoying. I love it. I want to talk about Delray. Look what happened in Delray. They've got something that happened in Delray called canyoning. They built these huge buildings around the downtown, and the downtown loses its cool. So I really think it's a good idea for the CRA not to build a building on the L&M area. Because if they do, that's going to cause them to have to build as a parking tower, and then that's going to canyon our downtown, which we don't want. So of course I have an answer. I'm not going to complain without having an answer. If we were to take the building at 17 M Street, and move to Federal Highway. Number one, you're gonna have store frontage. And we put that right next to the gas station. And we pave the area behind the cultural center. That's 75 parking spots. So then we're gonna be up to 271 parking spots on the ground. If we build our one level up parking garage above that, we're gonna be looking at conservatively 542 spaces. We're not gonna lose our skyline at all. And I think that that's really, really important. That's pretty much all I wanted to say, aside from, since we're gonna be dealing with Ukraine for, looks like quite a while, we should start doing something cool, like maybe like a candlelight vigil. Since we're talking about Ukraine, let's get together and like have actions follow up on proclamations and all that kind of cool stuff. So sure would be nice to have like a candlelight vigil.
You should organize it.
Okay, how about Friday night, 7
Well,
to 8?
you organize it.
Okay, I'll organize it, and I'll get in touch with everybody. I hope everybody comes out. You know, one thing to just say, yeah, I'm with them, but we got to show by return, keep coming back, you know?
We appreciate the volunteers. They'll do that.
I'm gonna do that, thank you very much. So the last thing is, I'm a heterosexual man, but I want to say gay, 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 gay. Comes at me if you want to arrest me, but gay, gay.
Did you say gay?
I said gay. Anybody else want to say gay? Gay. Gay.
Yeah.
Gay.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, I gotta go. Everybody have a great night. Talk to y'all later.
Great, Victor?
I'm here on an agenda item.
Oh, sorry. Oh, it's consent. It's consent.
That's one of the best things I've heard out of him.
You don't want to follow it.
Well, if this, we don't take comments on a consent agenda. We just,
Do public comment now.
public, do it now.
Oh, I gotta do it.
Do it
Okay.
now.
All right.
Get it done.
Okay, so I just wanted to
Let me
comment.
come up, tip, tip, tip.
Sorry, I just want to comment.
Who are you?
What's your name?
I'm
Who are you?
I'm Greg Richter.
And where do you live?
1202 South Palmwood, Lakewood Beach.
Thank you.
So anyway, I saw on the agenda about the possibility of looking into the opioid settlement. And I just want to talk to you as a family member who has lived through this nightmare. The settlement is pittance. I mean, you got to take what you can get, okay? But I've just seen families destroyed, lives lost. Personally, I've been through this with family members, and we need to get as much as we can. And to add insult to injury, the Sackler family, I don't know if you're aware of it, but they have a $7 million mansion down in Boca. They have opened a corporate Sackler family headquarters now in West Palm Beach. They are rubbing salt in the wounds.
And declaring bankruptcy.
What's that? Yes.
I've heard they're declaring
Well,
bankruptcy.
Purdue Pharma, where the deal is they file a bankruptcy, but the other part is there's no criminal actions taken against the Sackler family. And I just, as someone who has lost almost everything, including family members, it sucks.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, and this is just to become, to help the county become.
Gay.
Gay. To become a qualified, and thank you, Mr. Victor. Okay, that's it for public comments, unless there's any stragglers.
Could we, before we go further, address that comment that was
Yes,
just very inaccurate? I
About
want to
the-
leave that on the record.
About the voting.
About the voting.
We have our city attorney going to address that.
Sure. First, I'll say gay as well.
Thank you.
So we all know. I read that gentleman's email, and obviously we did some research, and this election, as Commissioner Malega said, on November 2nd, and you all agreed with, is effective not for the runoff. You're not going to change the rules of an election. The election started, because you're in the middle of the race, and all of a sudden you're going to say, no, you got to kick a left turn instead of a right turn. So the answer is no. I talked to the supervisor elections office, they agree. And then practically, there is no District 4 boundaries where they can count votes. They count in precincts. And so District 4 happens to be included
Oh, my God, that's
in
right.
3064, 3066, 3068. It's bits and pieces of several precincts. So it's not as if you can simply draw a square around there and say, this is the votes from this area.
I'm wondering how that's going to work when it does go into effect, though, because they do cross.
Well,
I'm glad you asked that question.
Yes, good question, Mayor.
Cindy's going to let us.
I was going to bring it up on the comments, but now that this has passed, I am thinking, briefly mentioned the Carmen today, we may need, according to the Voting Rights Act, to take a look at whether our 4 districts are relatively equal in population.
They're not. They're not.
So, I know that Green Acres, for example, is doing that. They hired FAU. We might want to look at what group you might want to hire to do that. And then just as the legislature redraws boundaries every census. Coincidentally, we happen to have a census just occurred. We may need to redraw those boundaries a little bit so that equal votes, every person has a right to an equal vote. We can have one district with 10,000 people and one with 500 people. I have no idea if that's the numbers, but you gotta have some quality.
So the number of registered voters, not, or how would you, what would you count?
My last voting rights act case was about 10 years ago with Jim Green.
Oh, God, oh, yeah.
Representing the millionaires against billionaires.
Yeah.
An Alabama.
Such a problem to have, huh?
I know.
But we'll look at that, whether it's population of voters, but. yeah,
Or change the precincts or something.
We might have to change. So I talked to Ashley, the attorney supervisor election, we're all kind of on the same page that this is going to be a process, but we got till 2024, not till a week from today.
That's right.
So just so people are very clear, the election, the runoff election on the 22nd is all residents of this, all voters of the city.
Everybody has a right to vote in this election. Every resident of the city can get out there and vote.
Okay, great. Vice Mayor Robin?
Well, I have a question, Glenn. If this becomes an onerous vote, a process, whatever you want to call it, is there an ability to have an emergency recall of that one particular vote on the charter?
What do you mean a recall?
In other words, if the expenses, the whole process becomes unwieldy, since it was voted on, but would we have
a mechanism to unvote it or to?
But we placed it on the ballot. We placed it on the
A
ballot.
new ballot, it would have to be a new,
Ballot.
Right.
If the voters decide they want to do single member districts, they could always reverse it, of course. But if you can go through with the single member districts, and the next election will be in 2 years, you probably should take a look at what are the boundaries of those districts. Because they don't.
well, we will have to in the meantime, correct?
Right, right.
So what I'm saying is, at some point, we may discover that it's unwieldy and expensive, and maybe the possibility of a recall might be cheaper than moving forward with.
You have to put it back on the ballot.
we'd have to put it back on the ballot.
But at what time? At what ballot would it come up on?
The next one?
The November 22, which is right around the corner, is the statewide election.
Correct.
In general, the statewide election does not favor putting on local issues in November, although she has made some exceptions in the past. So if you're thinking of that.
She's going to be involved.
But if you're thinking of that, it's got to be relatively soon to get on the November ballot. You know, you're going to be by August.
There are municipal elections next, we don't have any, a year without elections, amazing. But there are municipal elections next year. If that- I don't know how quickly we can determine, how do we determine if this is going to work or not? That's going to take some time.
I feel we can look into all of it.
Yeah, yeah, I wish we would look a little closer before this made it.
I wasn't going to get into all this yet, but in response to that.
Well,
Okay.
I'm trying to get ahead of the possibility of it being unwieldy and beyond expense. And I think the supervisor of election should give us some advice on that.
I'm sure she'll be happy to participate.
And take some money to do it.
She's always been very good to work with.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so we're done with that. Sure, of course. Okay, now we have approval of the minutes. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made by Commissioner McVoy, second by Commissioner Maligan. All in favor?
Aye.
Next is the approval of the consent agenda. Do I have a motion?
So moved.
Do I have a second by Commissioner McVoy? Do I have a second?
Second.
By Vice Mayor Robinson, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. That was easy. Okay, now we have a public hearing, item A. Public hearing, item A. This is the second reading of ordinance number 2022-01. Mr. Attorney, would you read it, please? Take a deep breath.
Ordinance number 2022-01 is an ordinance of the City Commission of the City of Lakewood, Florida, amending the official zoning map by approving the creation of a mixed-use urban plan development district located on the east side of Outlaw Road, approximately 230 feet south of 10th Avenue North, and consisting of approximately 0.52 acres of more particularly described in Exhibit A. located within the mixed-use west MUW zoning district. Future land use designation of mixed-use west MUW subject to specific development standards set forth in Exhibit B and conditions of approval set forth in Exhibit C. Approving a conditional use permit, approving density bonus incentive through the city's sustainable bonus incentive program, approving a major site plan for the construction of 18-unit mixed-use urban plan development, providing accessibility, conflicts, and effective date.
Very good, thank you. This is the second reading of the ordinance pursuant to the quasi judicial procedures. The quasi judicial hearing will only be reopened if there's any new evidence to be heard from staff or the applicant. Is there any new evidence from anybody? Okay, so I believe we can just go to a vote. Do I have?
So that means that there were no changes from the comments of the commission.
Based on the last conversation, the applicant agreed to all those conditions to be included in the project.
Okay, so there were changes. I just wanted to make that public.
Thank you. Yeah, okay.
So the
All in favor?
conditions have been met. Okay,
Do I have a motion?
motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
By Commissioner Stokes. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
Opposed?
Yes.
4-1. Oh.
It's 3-2.
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion passes 3-2.
If you want to stay longer, you can. We don't serve appetizers or cocktails, though, just so you know.
Okay.
See you all at the press.
Take care, thank you. So we don't have to worry about the quasi judicial part of it. All the whole pages. Okay, great.
Don't curse us.
There he is.
There he is.
President.
You do, are you?
We are so proud of you.
Dancing with
I bragged upon you in your new appointment as president of the Association of
Does
Public.
it make sense now?
It does make sense.
Anytime that man walks in, we should get a standing ovation.
That's right.
He's used to it, right?
Okay, now we're on number B, I believe.
Number B?
I mean, I,
Just saying.
thank you. I need.
Public hearing.
Ordinance number 2022-3. Mr. Attorney, would you read it again?
Getting a workout here.
You are.
Okay, ordinance number 2022-03 is an ordinance of the city of Lakewood Beach, Florida, amending chapter 16, pensions and retirement, article 2, employee retirement system, section 16-26, participation in the pension plan, section 16-27, vesting credits, 16-29, pension benefits, section 16-33, severance benefits, section 16-35, benefit level, section 16-44, cash balance plan created, and section 16-46, eligibility to permit specified employees to participate in the cash balance plan and to provide a one-time option for specified employees to remain in the existing benefit for private severability, appeals and conflict complication, and the effective.
Well done. Thank you, sir. I miss those days. This is the second reading. Were any changes made to the ordinance? No. Okay, so we can go ahead to a vote. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
What? Oh.
Motion to approve.
By Commissioner
Second.
McFoy, seconded by Vice Mayor Robinson. All in favor?
Aye.
All righty. Now, new business.
I just also wanted to say happy anniversary to everybody up here. It's been a year tomorrow that we've all been sworn in.
Wow.
Having fun, haven't
We
we?
are. I am.
Happy anniversary to the mayor, Commissioner Stokes, and Commissioner
I
McFoy and I.
am grateful for the honor of being able to serve.
And Herman, you put up with us for a whole year.
What do you get, more paper on the first anniversary?
Yes.
All right. Now, this is, Madam Clerk, this is the Ukraine resolution.
Yes, Madam Mayor, that's now A, and then A becomes B, B becomes C, and so on.
Right. I have resolution, but I don't have a number for it. It's XX 2022.
Oh, I'm sorry, it's 19-2022.
Thank you. Okay. All of us have been watching the news with tears in our eyes. And this is a resolution which I asked to have brought forward regarding the situation in the Ukraine. And what actually brought it home to me is when it was reported that 2 mayors in Ukraine have been kidnapped and are missing at this point. Kidnapped by the Russians, allegedly. And it brought it home. This is, you wake up in the morning, you have a cup of coffee, you go to work, and then your house gets bombed, and then you get kidnapped. It's crazy what's going on over there. So here's a resolution, and I'm going to ask for consensus to share this with other municipalities in Palm Beach County to have it adopted by them as well. It's nothing, but it's something that we can do. Whereas the Ukraine, which regained its independence in 1991 after the dissolution of the Soviet Union, is a unitary republic in Eastern Europe, the second largest country in Europe in terms of area, and with a population of 43.6 million, the eighth most populous. And whereas the Ukraine has moved towards becoming a full-fledged democracy with an elected president and an independent parliament and membership of the United Nations and the Council of Europe. Whereas Ukraine is bordered by Russia on the east and the northeast, and also shares borders with Belarus to the north, Poland, Slovakia, and Hungary to the west, and Romania and Moldova to the south. And whereas the Russian Federation President Vladimir Putin has continued to undermine the efforts of Ukraine's democracy and elected President Vladimir Zelensky, who took office in May 2019 after winning more than 73% of the popular vote. And whereas in the early hours of February 24th, 2022, Vladimir Putin announced a special military operation to demilitarize the Ukraine, to demilitarize Ukraine, launching an unprovoked and deadly attack and invading an independent nation, thereby threatening world peace. And whereas, like the United States of America and the state of Florida, the city of Lakewood Beach is committed to the growth and spread of democracy worldwide and stands with you, the Ukrainian people suffering at the hands of Vladimir Putin, many of whom face grave harm or even death under the crush of its ruthless military assault. And whereas it has been reported that 2 mayors of cities of Ukraine have been kidnapped by Russian soldiers, bringing home the reality of the situation that everyone, even local governments, are vulnerable to such attacks. And whereas the brutality of this unnecessary and violent war led by Vladimir Putin is an affront to both international law and common decency. Now, therefore, be it resolved by the City Commission of Lakewood Beach, Florida, that the foregoing recitals are incorporated into this resolution as true statements. The City Commission of the City of Lakewood Beach, Florida hereby expresses its unwavering support for an independent and democratic Ukraine against further ruthless Russian military assault. This resolution shall be effective upon its passage, and we are going to share this with other municipalities in Palm Beach County, just as a voice, the little that we can do to oppose this. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
I want to approve this because it has to be approved. I would like to mention the barbarism that one madman can inflict on civilians of another country.
Yep.
Somehow, he needs to be called out as a mad, barbaric, not even a human being. I just think that should be included somehow in the verbiage of.
Well, with no objection, I can fluff it up a little bit.
Yes, fluff away. I second the motion.
And madman are the 2 words that I would like to be included.
It's unbelievable. And people are making comparisons to different conflicts between different countries. This is different. This is a sovereign nation being attacked by another sovereign nation with horror.
And civilians always pay the price of war.
And there was a press conference today. One of the Russian leaders was asked, why are you bombing maternity hospitals? Oh, they're not maternity hospitals. They were evacuated and they were full of soldiers. Well, as you see the women and children being taken out of the maternity hospital, there's a bit of fake news going on.
Oh, don't say those words.
Well, in this case, sadly, it's true. Thank you very much for your support.
No, I second it.
Okay,
We need to vote on it.
Yes, we have.
Yes.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate your support on this. Now. So item 1 is now B. This is the agreement for integrated parking management systems with Park Mobile LLC. There you go. I just have a couple questions.
Good evening, Madam Mayor, Warren Bennett, Director of Leisure Services Department. I come to you from the exciting world of parking tonight. There's 2 means as to which we collect parking revenue. One is the meters, and that's IPX, and the other is Park Mobile, which is what we're talking about tonight. That's the app that you use on your phone to pay for parking throughout the city. So this contract would just allow us to continue to use the Park Mobile app until December 2023. It's proven to be pretty convenient given COVID, because now you don't have to touch the meters. You can literally just pay for parking anywhere. And it also gives you a reminder straight to your phone to try to help avoid people getting tickets.
Love that.
We're actually seeing an uptake in use of due to COVID. So
Great.
it's pretty convenient.
Thank you. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
I just had a, well, you can just.
Go ahead.
I have 2 questions.
Oh, let's have a sec. Do I have a second?
Second.
Okay. Want to talk?
Quick questions. I noticed that this was a continuation of sorts from 2013. Have we done any due diligence to look at other options, make sure this is the best deal, all that sort of thing? That's condition 1.
Yes, we're constantly evaluating all the different software in the parking world to see what would work best for us. Larry Lightfoot is on it.
Okay, I had a feeling. And the other is, do we make sure the contract is explicit that we get all full sort of data of who's using it, who's parking, so that we can, especially because a lot of it is used for the beach,
Yeah.
that we get some idea of where people are coming from who use the beach, all that sort of.
Park Mobile is actually the parking software that is able to provide us with the zip code breakdown of who's visiting our beach. There are meters that are not, but Park Mobile does give us that valuable information.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
That's all I got.
Good question.
Does the contract include any possibilities for estimating costs for downtown parking? Or income from downtown parking?
I don't believe so. It might be for, we have maybe one lot that's used for, which would be the.
Oh, no, I just was asking for some advice or numbers about downtown parking.
This contract does not speak to downtown parking.
Okay.
This is for the beach. and
We don't
Bryant
charge for
Parking
downtown.
area. But if we were to have downtown parking, there is leniency to add that if we were to expand that footprint.
See, you went fishing and you caught a fish. See, just like that.
Thank you. Thank you.
We didn't vote though.
We did not vote. Do I have a motion? And yes, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Lauren, can you go home yet? Okay, item C, which is amendment number 3 with AE Engineering for additional professional CEI services. Do I have a motion?
Motion to approve.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Is there any comment, questions, anything? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye, I'll approve unanimously.
Thank you.
For you, Mr. Brown, Mr. President. You're not going to live that one down for a long time. Item number D, which is an agreement with Stantec Consulting Services for comprehensive sustainability analysis for the city for the fiscal year 2023 budget, not to exceed $125,423. I see a line on Commissioner McFoy.
Want the motion first or the comment for that?
That's a motion.
Motion to approve.
All right, by Commissioner Malega, second by Vice Mayor Robinson. All, now we have. What would you like to talk about?
I love this process. This is the process where an outside organization, it used to be the folks up the statewide, I can't remember their names, but it was a small consulting firm that did it and developed the Excel spreadsheet and would be able to model things on the fly. It would project forward, usually 10 years, our budget information. So it took they collected all our data and modeled it forward. It was very helpful to us to make wiser long-term decisions. So I'm all in favor of it. My only concern is at this point, they've been doing it and the company that they bought out, Stantec bought them out a while back, has been doing it for a while. So they have all of our back data. They're just adding in the current year's data, doing a little bit of modeling on it. They have the model. I look at the price and I say, man, I shouldn't have gone into soil science. So I would, maybe not for this year, I don't know, but I would say, hey, we ought to negotiate with them a little bit on the price. See if we can, because at this point, they're doing a fairly similar thing each time, fairly similar data, not that more addition, and we have a response, I think.
Well, I'm just here to add additional color if needed. For the record, Andre McAdam, controller. You're right, they do the data modeling for us each year for the budget, but we also use them for other services throughout the year. So like last year, 2 years ago when we issued the bonds, and again this year when we issued the bonds, they assist with the financial analytics to determine if we should raise rates at some point, or if they work with Davenport to make sure that we can afford the debt service going forward. So to your point, they do have our historical data, and we feed them new information. They build pro formas, and they help us make decisions on if we're making the best financial decisions.
So I think what you're saying is that they're sort of on retainer. If we came up with a question in this contract, we could ask them to do a little analysis.
Oh, yeah. We call them all the time.
We should all remember that, but that's helpful.
And they charge us for it.
No, that would be.
No, it's in the.
It's just what's on the contract. That's the only invoice they do.
Commissioner Lane, if you have a question.
Andrea, I want to say thank you because you and I've had conversations about this contractual service and this over here where it says account number, and that nobody on this dais knows what these account numbers are or who they belong to.
Oh, yeah.
So thank you for going forward that we won't see numbers, we'll actually see departments. I appreciate you guys listening and understanding that it just makes it easier for us to be able to know we're not as quick as you to remember all those numbers. And I don't want to have to go through and look for who they are. So thank you for listening and hearing our concerns on that. I appreciate
We'll
it.
have that in the budget this year.
Yes.
As well.
Yes.
Clear.
Which will make our life a lot easier.
Yeah, it takes a little bit of time to understand. Fund 140 is beach, and
Yeah, I'm never gonna, no.
we'll put it in there for you so you don't have to.
Thank you. No brain damage. I appreciate you. That's all.
I'm gonna buy the book City Finance for Idiots.
Just one request while we're talking about the Stantec, and we can communicate throughout the budget process, but I just remember last time, being more curious about what assumptions are being made, especially with the electric utility, when we see, so we give them a bunch of information, they do all the magic, and then spit something back out, but I'd like to see if there's like a better way for us to have a higher level view of what is going into that system. Especially if there's things in flux, because last year it was like, oh, well, if we refinance our debt, if we do this, if we do that, and I didn't know what was reflected in those models and what wasn't reflected in those models. So if there's a way to kind of clearly state assumptions for us,
there are a couple of different ways that it can be done. The basic way that they do it is they use actual data that's given to them. So they put that into their model. It looks pretty fancy, but it's really just a cool Excel spreadsheet that they use. So we give them the basic information. They build a model based given that. So we know what we have. Then we can start feeding assumptions, and then it'll change. So for all of you on the dais, obviously, we're not gonna have a screen up, most likely, and changing assumptions. I think they would be able to do it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, they can do it on the fly.
We can have them give us different assumptions printed out for you. So you can see the specific assumptions that we're considering of whatever we might be talking about at the time. So I'll tell folks about it. Sure. We'll make sure we're clear about what assumptions are being made.
Thank you.
Always, thank you. I'm amazed by people that know about numbers.
We didn't vote yet, ma'am.
Do I have a motion in a second? Yes?
Yes, we did that.
Thank you. Can I have a vote? All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. I appreciate the support.
It's been a rough day.
Commissioner Stokes is 100% right. It's just good modeling practice that you try to be as upfront as possible about any assumptions that are made. And there usually are some, interest rates or whatever rates is. And it's good advice.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you, math people.
what we're here for.
I appreciate that. I'm good at other stuff. This is resolution 15-2022, the sixth operating budget amendment for fiscal year 2022 to appropriate $75,000 of JAG grant funding to implement a pilot communications platform using kiosks. First question, what is JAG?
It's a grant, justice assistance grant.
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Okay, thank you. This sounds fun. It sounds interesting.
I'm super excited I want to when I read all the details, I'm like, I want to go play with them.
Really, do I have a motion?
Yes, motion.
Motion to approve?
Yes, motion to approve.
Thank you.
You didn't ask the whole question. That's your motion. Motion to approve.
Thank you, Commissioner Stokes. We have a question from Mr. McBoy.
Obviously, we've all talked about at various meetings, the difficulty of moving information from the city out into the community. And and the kiosks, as I understand it, add a layer to that and say, okay, it's one thing, the difficulty of just pushing information out in general during events, hurricanes and whatnot, it's even worse, or potentially is worse because of power outages and whatnot. I guess what I would add, I have a little bit of skepticism that somebody who's if we're in the middle of a hurricane, that someone's going to wander downtown and see if there's a kiosk and type into it and see if it says, you know, go out Federal versus go out Dixie. I have to admit some skepticism there. I think people are going to use their phones. The phones are going to have juice for a while. It seems to me if we really are concerned about pushing information out, which I fully support, and I support it for emergency situations, I would think we might want to look a bit more at what are our alternative ways to do it. Because 75,000 could get you ways, things that come to mind as a possibility. I suspect from what I've seen in previous hurricanes, and I've been through, I don't know, 4 or 5 or 6 of them here in Lakewood by now. Interestingly, the phone company does much better at keeping the lines going than the power company does. I don't know why, but I've seen that a number of times. That may change that they're moving to fiber. I'm a little concerned about that, but they do have the ability to put up temporary towers and keep stuff going that way. They power them up. How well it works, I don't know. The water management district used to do it, or they used to park them there anyhow. But a thought is, if you're concerned during hurricanes and you have substantial duration power outages, maybe a more useful way to use some of that money would be to put little solar powered remote charging stations around that might cost you $500, $1,000 a pop, and you could put bunches of them around the city and people can go charge their phone and make sure that they have that end of the communication part still working. So that would be my thought. Is this the best way to achieve the objective? And then I would say, to check into that, what are other South Florida communities doing in that direction? Can we, learn from that and so on? That's my only thought.
Fine.
I had one other thought, couldn't we put more than just emergency stuff? Couldn't we put like load information onto those kiosks?
Yes.
No, let's go there and see what's going on with the city. Thank you.
So actually, this is one of the branches that we're looking at and expanding the communications component. It's never just one thing. It's all the tools that we're using. And when we started looking at the kiosks, we thought, okay, it would be really good to have in emergency situations as a bonus. And it's also a really good way to exchange everyday information. And we're looking at doing trilingual. I know Ben's looking at ways to upload it so that it always stays up no matter what the emergency situation is. And a lot of times when we make a decision about communications, we actually go out into the community and say, how are you getting your information? And what I've heard a lot from the community is not everybody has a cell phone, and not everybody's going to go to your website. So when we started talking about the kiosks, we were like, how can we also serve that part of the community that we're missing? So the idea is in non-emergencies, we're pushing into our events, go vote for March 22nd, like everyday stuff, but then also really using it as a tool for communication. Because people really do wander the streets during hurricanes. They really do. And I know, especially in some of the places that we've worked with the citizens of where to put them, they're strategically being placed where people who don't have the means to get this communication can find it easily.
Thank you.
I would question a lot the assumption of almost everybody not having cell phones. I know that the Guatemala Maya Center very actively uses texting to get to communicate with people.
They do. I actually met with the Guatemala Mine Center. They told me it's only a small percentage of their families that they're reaching through text messages. Because I also did question that being millennial, and I very quickly got put in my place from both the older and the younger generations, actually. There are some people who they don't want to use that type of technology. And I've been told, as overseeing communications, you really need to find another outlet.
So this is not the only way of communicating. We'll be doing other things as well, right? I mean, this is a little
I don't know
extra.
how much time you have. I mean, we've got all the social media outlets, we've got 995 billboards, we've got the newsletter, we've got the website.
Text, pushing text,
We've got
things like
text
that.
messages.
Got the signs out in front of City Hall.
And we have a question from Commissioner Stokes.
No, just a comment. I'm really excited about the one in front of City Hall because every time I'm here, if I step outside to use the phone, if I step outside to do anything, I always encounter at least one person who has come to City Hall to find an answer to something.
Mhm.
And it's usually not here at City Hall.
Joke, we would love to put a sign up that says code is not here.
Code is not here, your building permit's not here, you don't pay your electric bill here.
Or just say, who is here, right? You can talk to this person, this person, this person.
Personnel and the clerk.
I think I had to send them to the county to go do a record search, but I mean, they come here looking.
For direction.
I also don't love sitting on the phone waiting to talk to somebody forever, so I show up places.
Mhm.
So I'm really excited about the people that show up here, if they can kind of get what they need. And then I've talked to the city manager as well. We have a whole plan on how to beef that whole part up, but this is the beginning of, at least for City Hall. So I too, when you read about the emergency situations, you can understand where you're coming from. But I do think it'll have many more uses outside of that.
And I will add that when everybody's electricity is off, and we've had, I think in 2005, 6, just 3 weeks that we had no electricity. There's not much to do but wander the streets, really. So,
We actually got a lot of people.
yeah, I mean, you gotta get outside. There's no air conditioning because you've got no electric. So, I think this is an interesting alternative way to approach things. And, we talk about the website. At some point, we need to have like a conversation about the website.
I would love that.
I-
I'd love to get your insight and your input on
Yeah.
what you would like us to fix.
Absolutely. I was looking like the neighborhood associations last night. I was trying to check in, which I knew there was a meeting and where was it and stuff. And maybe it's on there, but I
It
couldn't.
is. It's very weird.
I couldn't.
It's not
find it.
very-
So I think we have like a casual consensus to visit the website.
Oh,
That would be fine.
Thank you. Okay, thank you very much. I need a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. F, Resolution 16-22, officially establishing an official signatory for all bank-related functions.
So this, obviously, after we got a new mayor, we got a new city manager, we needed to change signers on our bank documents. So this resolution simply make sure that we're not in conflict with any previous resolution.
Okay.
So we've made the change, but we want to make sure somebody don't look at a resolution from 1997 and say you're in conflict. So this just eliminates that issue.
I just have a question. What did the prior one say? Because I couldn't find it. The one that we could have been in conflict with.
The prior one stipulated that the authorized signers for all bank-related documents and executing documents was the mayor and city manager.
I'm much more comfortable with this new resolution, so I thank you for bringing this forward. And with that, I make a motion to approve.
So now it's the city manager, it's the city manager and
The
the.
Director of Services and the Assistant Director of Financial. So Bruce and Andre tentatively now.
Bruce and John.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
I agree with you. I didn't want to be in it.
Carmen's like, nope.
Brazil in our future. Thank you very much. Do I have?
Another good change that we've made here.
I know, it's just
the beach.
wonderful.
Thank you, Andre.
Yeah, did I have a motion?
Second.
Okay.
I made motion.
Lega, Vice Mayor Robinson, second, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much. H,
Could we have a little bath
G.
break? Is that possible?
almost at the end. All right, sure, you want to take a break? It's 7:50.
It can be a short one.
Let's come back at 8 o'clock.
Okay, go.
Go, literally.
Good job, Ed.
Madam Mayor, it's 8:03 and we're back. Can you unmute, please?
I'm not sure we heard that.
I did,
Oh, did you?
I did.
What?
Madam Clerk has
You said it's
instructions to get
8:03 and
going.
we are back.
We're back. Thank you. Okay, moving right along, we are on number G, which is repurpose $75,000 allocated to the Palm Beach County School Board Wi-Fi project to be used to fund the city hall EV charging stations, electric vehicle charging stations. Do I have anything from staff on this? Is this extra money that we didn't need for the Wi-Fi?
Right, this is just moving money from one project to another, so we already have it, moving it to something else. That's it.
But we don't need that for the Wi-Fi.
No.
Okay. Commissioner,
Well, I thought we had a policy on electric vehicles, which hybrids, didn't necessarily qualify. And when we're talking about charging stations versus education, have to be concerned.
We'll start with.
It's not canceling the Wi-Fi project.
No, I know that, but it's money that we could choose to spend somewhere else.
what's the source of the money? What's the fund that it comes from?
It's in Ed or somebody's there, but it's in the Wi-Fi project. It's going through electric utility. Part of it, I think, was either canceled or.
No, they just reallocated from what I read there. We didn't have to put in new poles and use new wires, so Ed was able to save a lot of money. All the work was done, we just came in way under budget.
That's right.
Now he wants to move that funds from Wi-Fi to putting in the charging stations that we were supposed to have here 2 years ago.
So this is essentially an electric utility issue, not a thing that we could start doing other projects.
That's right. It's under electric
It
utility.
is electric utility.
Do I have a motion?
Motion to,
Oh, I'm sorry, Chris McAvoy.
I hear you on, and that's a helpful clarification that it's kind of electric utility money. But for instance, the electric utility just supported events at the street painting festival. So it sounds like there is a little bit of flexibility of what we do with funds. And given that we have such a concern for education here in the community, and so to me, there's two sides of the balance. One is the whole country is gung-ho about electric vehicles and electric charging stations. I would guess that the possibility that we could get grants or some of the infrastructure money to support the charging stations, I think that people are going to be throwing money at that because there's such enthusiasm to do it. And it's a healthy thing to do for shifting us away.
we applied for 4 grants last year and we didn't get them
Well, we'll do better this year.
because you have to be close to 95. We're not.
Well, we're very close to 95. But the other side of it is we have such issues with education. I was speaking with somebody of, I think we've heard the presentations from both the principal of South Grade and from Highland that, we're at 95%. If we have extra money, I would think that we want to work very hard that we don't need for the Wi-Fi. Let's talk to those principals. Do we need money for laptops? Do we need money for something else that's in the education vein? I would feel a lot better about doing that. Obviously, nobody here would assume that I'm not in favor of electric charging, but I think we can find that money much more easily than we can find education money.
And the demand is not really here right now.
We have like 14 people in City Hall who have electric cars.
Is there a deadline for this?
I'm not sure. Paul, are you aware?
We do not have a specific deadline. We've been trying anxiously to get the EV charging stations installed at the City Hall. As most folks are aware, there are 2 level 2 charging stations going in the new Bohemian parking garage. We explored opportunities to install a level 3 charging station at that Bohemian parking garage. However, the electrical equipment and panels to construct that garage had already been purchased. So to make a change to put the level 3 charging station in there did not make financial sense. So the alternate location was to put a level 2 charging station at City Hall with an additional level 3 charger there as well that could be used by public as well.
So it's 2 charging stations?
There would be the funds, the $75,000 would be to fund the purchase of the level 3 charging station.
One, they're $75,000 a piece.
The level 3 charging station, all in, the charging station and the installation is going to be right about that 75K. The charging station itself is almost a little over 50.
And you usually explain what the difference between level 2 and level 3 charging station is?
So a level 2 charging station charges the cars at a much slower rate, potentially 2 to 4 hours to get a full charge. I don't own an electric vehicle, so I know from just research. The level 3 chargers, which use a 480 volt primary source as a voltage, charge the vehicles much faster. So obviously they use a little bit more electric, but that gets the job done quicker. So for folks that, let's say, are in and out of City Hall or travel to City Hall for a meeting, they could use the level 3 charger and get their car charged relatively quickly. Same thing with the public. It's a much faster way of getting a full charge on your vehicle.
One more question. How much electricity does it, I mean, I'm just thinking about,
We pay for them. You pay for the charging station when you use it.
what do you mean?
You put your phone up and you actually pay to.
Okay, it's like, okay,
It's not
that
free.
was my next question.
No, you pay for it.
Okay, thank you. Commissioner Stokes.
Yeah, I have similar questions because I know the presentation that we heard from the electric utility board made it seem like very cheap to install electric charging stations. I would love to get some actual realistic numbers around that, so we all are operating off the same information. And then, so are we imagining this is mostly used for our employees or for the public? Like, is it going into? What's going on the public?
My understanding is it would be mixed use.
And so this was a project you were already planning?
It was a project that was planned, however, with the current budget that we had, it was not something that was budgeted. So we were looking at alternative sources of funding the level 3 charger. When we went back with Palm Beach County and the progress that we made with the Wi-Fi project, we had strategically located and selected poles for those Palm Beach County Wi-Fi devices that really lent the opportunity for us to kind of preserve that money to be used elsewhere for other infrastructure improvements.
Could we expand the coverage that we're giving to the Wi-Fi project?
I'm sorry, my daughter was screaming in the background. Can you repeat the question?
Yeah, I'm just curious about the Wi-Fi project and if we
Sure.
have full coverage and if we would be able to expand the coverage.
Absolutely. So basically, the latest update that I have from the Palm Beach County Wi-Fi project is the first phase of the radios have been installed. Palm Beach County is contracted with PCS, who's a rather large fiber company, to come back and install the fiber infrastructure to those devices that would connect to the Palm Beach County system. And that infrastructure is, I would say, probably about 90% complete. I would imagine in the next 2 months, two to 2 months or so, they would probably be able to get that system up and running. And then based off obviously the coverage and some of the testing that they're going to be doing, if they need to install additional radios or repeaters to cover those LMI areas that were indicated during the study, they would install those repeaters where needed.
Yeah, I would.
But there instead, right?
I would like to see us expand that because even if you don't live in the target range, you might still, like we've seen with rent prices and all the.
Was there a restriction though, when we got the money about the geographic area that it had to cover or could
But it's
cover?
being used for which money, the
So-
school money or this money?
Right.
Maybe.
Yeah, so just so everybody's clear, so the $75,000 that was set aside, Palm Beach County is fully funded, I believe, by the CARES Act. The $75,000 that was set aside was money that was for additional utility poles, additional transformers, additional wire, additional electric utility infrastructure that would have needed to be purchased to push that project forward.
But we didn't need it.
So exactly. So, through careful planning and strategically planning where those radios were going to go, we utilized a lot of available equipment that was out in the field as far as wires, secondary circuits for street lighting. These devices only take 120 volts. So we utilized a lot of available infrastructure that was in the field to deploy that project.
So I guess the question is, could this $75,000, and I'm just going to paraphrase, could the money be used for something to augment or expand or improve the Wi-Fi that we have in the city for the school kids?
That would be, again, Palm Beach County is running that project. So that would be a question that we would have to ask them. Other than giving them a free ride on the utility poles and providing them power to deploy that project, we've basically had very little interaction as aside from where which poles those devices needed to go on, and then coordinating, getting that installation and those power connections made.
Okay, so the money was so it was for that sort of infrastructure. We didn't need, I'm just sort of thinking out loud. I hear my commissioner saying that, it sounds like it was sort of an educational purpose. We had this money that we wanted to use for an educational.
But it was infrastructure for what they needed.
Right.
It wasn't going to the school.
No, I know that, okay, but something was brought up, do the kids need could we buy laptops? Are there different things that we could use this for? Is that something that we could explore?
It was run by the task force.
We can't make recommendations like that.
No.
We're not a sunshine board.
But I'm just wondering, could our locals, could our.
No, I was just gonna suggest, Madam Mayor, if you would like us to explore, I hear the questions that are being expressed on the dais, we can look into and address those questions and bring it back.
That would be great.
I think.
I like, but not, no, Herman had his on first.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
No, I was just, before she close out
I was
the,
gonna second city manager's motion.
Huh?
I want
Commissioner
I'm hearing mixed comments. We want mobility. We want people to be energy efficient. We want people to be, considerate of what they're doing for the environment. So we're trying to change things because we only have 2 charging stations in the entire downtown to be used. So let us be mindful that last year we did put in for, I think, 4 or 6 grants. And part of the reason we didn't get those is because you have to be accessible off I-95. There was like a litany of things that we didn't fit into the budget for those grants. So, I hear what you're saying, but I also know that there is usually 5 or 6 other cars waiting to use the only 2 charging stations downtown. We have staff here, we have Bohemian, we have people who walk around. And if we really want to be forward thinking on the energy efficient and mobility, and we want people to be more conscientious, we can't send mixed signals. That's all I'm saying. Honestly, I'm not indifferent.
I understand that, and I think we all understand that, but I think that we also have, my response to that, with all due respect, is that we also have children that have been critically hurt by the past 2 years that may need some sort of.
No, I hear you, but I'm just saying,
It's a balance.
It is, that's what I'm saying.
But again, to me, it's a luxury to buy an electric car. I'm sorry, it is, they're expensive. And we have children that may need a laptop or something to help them, or some program.
And I would add an additional one that I suspect, although I don't know, I haven't researched it, but that could be part of the research. I suspect that not all cars and not all batteries are going to be happy with the super duper high rate charging, because it tends to limit the life of the batteries. So maybe that's not something that's for everybody anyhow. The other thing that I think there's 2 pieces. I hear you on, we want to encourage the electric, and believe me.
That's why, we just,
But there's 2 things I think. I think that there's such a push at the national level for that we will find ways to fund those and have help with it. The other is, I suspect that the price of that will come way, way down on those.
But how long? 5 years from now? 3 years from
I think
now?
it'll be much quicker than that.
I don't think that we should invest in the 3 series, whatever. I think the 2, if you could get 2 or 3 for the same price as 1, 2 or 3 2s, versus the price of 1.3.
Like charge their car, go for a ride, go home and charge it again?
No, they charge their car, they go for dinner, they charge their car, they go, but the golf courses too, for people who, when you eat at the beach club.
I have a
Commissioner
question
Stokes.
about, so I might not have fully understood. We were planning one at the Bohemian that didn't happen.
I think we were planning several. at the
And
beginning.
so where was the
Yeah.
funding coming
There,
from?
there,
What happened there?
there are two chargers, two level 2 chargers that are going to be installed in the lower level of the parking garage at the Bohemian.
In the public area?
That's correct.
Okay,
And
I
the
thought you said something that we were gonna have a level 3, but then didn't.
Correct. So the afterthought was, since the current market is more driven, a lot of the Teslas, a lot of the newer cars are more geared towards the level 3 chargers, that we didn't have a level 3 charger within the city. So the thought was at City Hall would be centrally located to the downtown corridor. Also, maybe folks that are living at the Bohemian that need to get a quick charge, any other accessibility that would need a level 3 charger, that it would be centrally located to that downtown area, as well as installing a level 2 charger at City Hall as well. So the thought was to put 2 in. One level 2 charger will serve 2 vehicles, and a level 3 charger will serve 1 vehicle. So with the 2 chargers there, you could kind of have the mixed use of somebody that's going to be there for a while could use the level 2, and somebody that's going to be in and out could get a quick charge on the level 3 and be down the road.
But this is just what the proposal is, just one level 3 at City Hall, correct?
Right, with the future expansion of a potential additional level 3 charger in the future.
Yeah, okay, another 75,000. I see, thank you. I see a lot of lights on, Commissioner.
I'm just going to quickly say that I see this as a choice between electric charging and education. And we should prioritize education at the.
Commissioner McVoy.
Just another question. I support the motion to, I don't know, to table it and get some more research both on the education side, can we do it? And maybe a little bit more on the electric side. One question for, I believe it's Paul, would these be bi-directional chargers? Charging stations?
Not quite sure what you mean by bi-directional, meaning could you power the electric utility from an electric vehicle?
This is something that's happening all over the country, which is to say, hey, if the vehicle is sitting there all day long, it can be used as a power source as well as a power charging situation.
Not that I'm aware of. That's technology that I have not been privy to.
It definitely exists, so I would add that to the request for information on that.
I don't think that you can do that, I think that's only private, because I looked into that for our house. Like, if you charge your car enough, could it
It's
charge your house?
That's why we need a integrated resource management plan for the utility, because that's kind of the thing that we need to be able to plan for, because it's definitely happening.
So we're tabling this?
All right, so motion to table, second.
Second.
Okay, thank you. All in favor?
Sorry, Madam Mayor, who made the motion to table?
I did Stokes.
Commissioner Stokes.
And the second was by whom?
Vice Mayor Robinson.
And is it to table or to table to a time certain or just to table?
Staff is going to come back with some more research. They're going to do a little research.
Data mining, if you will.
Data mining, if you do H.
Phew.
Seems later than 8:20. Settlement agreement.
I guess I just have a quick question. Is somebody going to take the lead on possibly reaching out to maybe Erica or somebody from Palm Beach County School Board to determine what their needs are? I know you're trying to gear towards education. Just want to see who's going to take the lead on that.
Yes, I will get with Mr. Liberty and we'll work together on that.
All right, perfect. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, so settlement agreement and mutual release with Florida DOT regarding a little accident. We had a little unfortunate moment on Central Avenue South. An odd noise you're making. I've never heard that.
This accident cost us so
It
much.
costs us some money.
So much.
It's, yeah,
Roll off truck, bridge repair.
okay. Do I have them? It's not nothing that anybody wants to spend money on, but it is, as they say. So motion to approve,
Motion to approve.
a second.
Begrudgingly second.
All begrudgingly in favor?
I
Thank you. It's unfortunate.
don't think we had a whole lot of choice.
I don't think we did.
Kind of got off light. Do you see how much the repairs were? 687 and we got to pay 200,000.
Yeah, well, hey, the good news is about the legislation.
Yes.
The cap did not change.
It was almost $700,000.
It was gonna be $1 million. The legislature wanted to make our current sovereign immunity from $200,000 to $1 million. So we would have spent $678,000 on this. So please write to your legislators and thank them.
But it's only for 50,000 and under census that it doesn't affect.
What?
For smaller cities.
It's smaller cities.
No, I think it's in past. I don't think it passed. I don't know. We'll find out. We don't. 8:24. Okay, now we have,
Now, the mayor's promised me 4 hours discussion time, but I'll shorten it down.
Yeah.
I have requested of Commissioner McVoy to be at his most succinct and practical. Because my question is, I read this through and nobody wants accidents. People want to be safe on bicycles and pedestrians, but I would like, my question is, practically speaking, what does this mean for the city for us to do?
And how many minutes is our presentation?
Well, 5.
Do I need another potty break?
No,
No, I don't think you need a potty break.
Okay.
This is Vision Zero was in the backup. It apparently started in Sweden. It is spread around. I mean, there's nothing very complicated with the concept that says, other than it says fatalities and serious injuries with traffic are not accidents. They're not just random probable things that just happen and there's nothing you can do about it, like lightning strikes. And even lightning strikes, you can do things about, you can't do about the control, but the cause, but you can do things to protect. The same way with roads, and there's a string of 5 E's, which I don't remember all of them, but education, enforcement, engineering, and a couple others that I don't no longer remember, says that, hey, you can actually, by your policies and by especially your engineering of roads and transportation, you can influence the likelihood of fatalities and serious injuries. This has been something that the county has adopted, I believe, since 2018. A number of other cities have adopted it. At the last meeting of the Transportation Planning Agency, we adopted it unanimously, except Commissioner Weinroth said, you know, we're never going to get to 0. So is this realistic? He wanted it some slightly different name, but everybody agreed with him and we all voted unanimously with his exception to move forward with it. The idea is focus your policies as you think about planning your roads and altering roads and striping and all those things. Take steps that are best practices out there to help reduce the likelihood of accidents, particularly the serious ones. And there is plenty of research. There are famous videos about it. Dangerous by Design is one of them that's worth looking at, that says, look, you can lower the speed limits on roads as one way, because speed is the biggest danger factor on accidents. You can lower your speed limits by changing the signs on it. That's the least effective way. It's better than nothing, but it's the least effective way, particularly if you don't enforce it, it's even less effective. If you change the design of the roads, what they look like, things like changing the visual look to them. All of us know that when you see a long straight road and it's multiple lanes and there's no confusions on it, you're going to go faster. It's just automatic. We do. If you just start putting a little bit of a curve into it, or you've got some trees planted next to it or some other things, you can slow that speed even without changing the road signs. So this simply says, let's commit as a community that we don't like where we are. Where we are in Palm Beach County is that we have one of the highest rates of fatalities per municipality.
It's not,
It's this corner right here?
well, this corner is one of them.
Yeah.
I just sent a message on that to the city manager this morning or the afternoon. One thing that we could do on the enforcement level is enforce the no turn on red.
Isn't it crazy how many people just do it anyway?
Enforcement makes a big difference. If people get the message that nobody's gonna ticket them on it, they're not gonna.
I got ticketed once. I didn't know, not here, but I was driving home from downtown and I turned right on red. And I honestly didn't know I wasn't supposed to. Now I know
Because you got a ticket.
but I never turn right again, but there's no curve to the road. Like usually when there's there's usually a hill or there's some reason for a no turn right on red that triggers you. And for me, whatever sign must be there, it just, I didn't see
You
it.
didn't read it.
So
Whatever, I mean,
Yeah.
Look up.
the
okay, it was
idea.
just me. It was just me. Obviously a very
I have to remind, every time I come to down this turn to Federal, and to Dixie, and I want to make a right-hand turn, I have to remind myself, this is not the place that you can do that,
Yeah.
because at Federal and Second, you can. You know, it's not.
Right. There are places where you can,
Right.
and it's some of those things that we can, if by setting it as a goal that we value this, we think it's important to be intentional about safety in our community. We may look a little harder. There is federal grant money to help. There is expertise through the TPA and some of the other organizations. The FDOT, the Florida Department of Transportation, is active on it, has adopted it a while back. So it's not like it's some totally wacky thing somewhere. It's FDOT is not exactly. Can I get a quote on that from Jamie? Is FDOT, like a real out there organization? Actually, I've heard some presentations from them that were.
People don't like FDOT. Right?
Are you arguing against yourself right now?
That's
I'm just saying that if
pretty
they're-
darn concise of you, Commissioner McVoy.
Well, I'm just warming up.
Oh, no, you're not.
No, I'm good.
All right.
I would ask us to.
Essentially, it's a consciousness raising.
Consciousness raising, but also to turn it into.
Well, when we,
policy.
right.
Yeah, and we would not do that off scratch. I think Jamie is very conscious of some of this already. So it would be, and you may want to comment on it.
Or not.
Or not.
Can I?
From your.
I'm about to call on you. Commissioner Malinga has had her light on for quite some time.
It's, what's really hard about sitting over here is you constantly have to turn your head to look this way so we can look at all of you instead of looking out to the audience. I hear what you're saying, and I can tell you that I believe that it works. And when you talk about speed and you talk about accidents, there's a corner in Royal Point Sienna where one house has been hit 7 times. And there was a big tree in front of that house that protected that house. Well, the new owners came in and chopped down the tree. And I said, I went to their house and said, first of all, you shouldn't have done that. I said, for 2 reasons. You have to talk to horticulturists and we have laws here. So, but the second reason is that tree has saved that house 7 times just since I've lived here. And the guy said, you're kidding me. I said, no. Fast forward, not even 3 months later, his house gets hit. Not just that house, but now the tree didn't stop it. So the house next to it and the third house, the car finally stopped on the porch. I had to call the guy who lived there because I knew where he worked and said, you need to come home. There's a car on your porch. Literally called Jamie and Felipe and we came out and realized that because everybody parks on the street, that people were parking right up to the stop sign. So when you were sitting here, you couldn't see the traffic coming.
Right.
So as you went to try to get across that intersection, this car was coming way too fast. So they came out, they striped the yellow stripes. What is it, 8 feet from the stop sign?
Yeah, it's the vision triangles.
Let me tell you, the difference in 6 months, maybe, we have not had, we had a guy hit, we had a bicyclist hit, thrown over a truck and landed in the middle of the road. We've had, I mean, this is a bad corner where after putting in speed bumps in this neighborhood and doing everything, nothing was changing, but just doing that change in the last, I think it's almost been 6 months, we, knock on wood, have not, so they may be wacky FDOT, I don't know, but I do know that there are things that we can do. And I brought this up to the CM 2 weeks ago to see what it would cost us to do these small changes at these intersections where there's stop signs.
Well, recently, they put in a high wrong way on Second Avenue and L Street, because that's where I live, it's crazy, people are.
Yeah, and then.
You see that, I mean, that's something you see that red sign that says wrong way.
Yeah, and as we were obviously doing the bond program, as we were redoing those roads, you'll see a lot of those bulb outs right at the corner. 'Cause we don't want to call them. That took away a parking spot. Why did you guys put a bulb
Right,
at the
right.
stop sign?
Safety.
I'm like, well,
It's not a
it's
parking
because of the
spot.
vision triangle and now people can't park there. So we're eliminating the situation. But on streets that we did not address, we were able to do what you were talking about, which is just go with yellow paint. The bad part is we don't enforce the neighborhoods, obviously. So there's the whole other side of the parking thing. You know, you can paint it and stripe it out there, but people still park there.
But I mean, I think that it would be something that we could do that's, I don't know how much it would cost, but especially where we have these stop signs where it's a four-way intersection and we have people parking, big construction trucks and these, big white vans and you can't see around them and people are getting killed. Bicyclists, people are crossing the street, kids on scooters.
So it sounds.
I agree.
The team is doing the engineering. Commissioner
Sounds like
Malika is personally going door to door to do the education.
No, I mean.
And then we need to work on the enforcement. So,
And people are
and then
idiots.
there's a couple more E's that Commissioner McVoy forgot, but.
Did you have to remind everybody now?
Well, you said there were 5 and 3.
There were 5.
Okay, but so yes, I think we all want to support this idea and then turning it into action. Would
Absolutely.
be great. So are
There's
you
a
going to be
draft.
bringing back a resolution or something that we need
But
to?
there's a resolution.
Oh, there's the draft.
There, I didn't
Okay.
want to put the resolution
Right.
on boom. I thought we
Right.
should.
Okay,
That,
and then.
you're learning, we're training you. It's good.
Fine. And I'm also, I didn't actually add the draft, the city clerk kindly put that on there very clearly. So if there's things that we look at it and I don't think the whereas is much matter, but the sections, the therefores, if there's something we want to change, I think that's, I'm open to that. I'm not wedded to this language.
Pretty general. I mean, it says we want less accidents and we think that,
And that we will work on a plan to try to do it.
well, I think as things come up, I don't think we're gonna have, are you anticipating it like a citywide survey of this sort of thing? Or as, we know, I mean, I think all of us know our neighborhoods enough to know like where the bad.
And I think we get enough input from other residents of corners and traffic and.
I can't see us really doing a survey of the whole city.
No, I don't.
Madam Mayor,
Just ma'am.
if I can say,
Please do.
and I can work very closely with Mr. Brown, we could tailor it based on our needs in the community. So if you look at this drafted resolution, it includes creating a committee, a Vision Zero coordinating committee. Now, is that necessary? Maybe not. So we can tailor it to our needs and how we want to direct this effort. And allow us to look at it, bring a suggested resolution to you so that we can achieve what we're looking for.
Once again, the city manager saves the day.
Well, I'd like to hear you have thoughts about the committee?
Well, yeah, I had actually, obviously, I had marked down the coordinating committee as well as the action plan. My Vision Zero current coordinating committee is basically at the moment. So I don't know if there was a certain time frame or something we're looking at here, because I was.
And I have to say, I have some issues along a vision action plan. I mean, it sounds like you're asking staff to say, there's this vision plan for the city about achieving this. And I think that's a lot to ask.
And I was just saying, if possible, if I could just, as the city manager mentioned, if we could work with her and maybe put something together and come back to see if that would be acceptable for what you're looking.
Commissioner Stokes?
And a suggested time frame as well.
Yes, I definitely want to make sure that we do turn it into action. I know we pay outside consultants to do studies all the time. So if there are figures of people that help along with those things, or just even a plan for getting into the neighborhoods. I know I visited the park in your district, Sunset Ridge, like 8 times. And so a million people must have, and almost every time I tried turning left out of that parking lot. And then eventually I sent you an email, I think, and it was like, can you get a one-way sign up from the parking lot point of view?
What parking lot?
At the Sunset Ridge Park.
Oh.
Was it a 14 lot right there? You turn down a one-way road. I know it's I'm going down the one-way road.
But it doesn't make sense. You want to turn right.
And then when I go.
It's A, 14th and
I
A.
want to go home, I'm like, I want to go left. But I think we got some signage up there now, but how long did that sit there like that forever without anybody saying it? And it took me like 8 times before I was like, I should do something about this. So I think it would be great to, even if you can't do it right now, like with one person on this committee, to let us know what's typical? How do people usually identify these areas and what does it take? So that we have a better understanding.
Well, as Commissioner Boyd mentioned, through the TPA, we'll be able to at least pull some other action plans that have been done from wherever. So you can kind of get an idea of what all this consists of and how much we're talking about it.
Okay, great. And
Okay, so we're not gonna vote on this particular resolution. We're gonna just let this go until the staff comes back in a couple of meetings from now.
And yeah, I think that's fine. This is not, I mean, obviously this is a good goal, but it's not like it has to be decided today. I don't see any urgency.
I have a problem with the action plan because our staff is so.
I think.
one last thing though, about the education piece that I would love to dig in more for any kind of initiative. I know we've talked about like, should we have a month where it's like, hey, we're, cleaning up our city. I know we do the neighborhood cleanups and things like that, but
Traffic.
yeah, like when we have the proclamation, it's like, this is an awareness month. Like what can we do to actually generate the awareness outside of this room? So I'd love ideas. I think for this too, if we dedicate 1 month a year where we go out and we really try to engage with people, I'd love just to hear different ideas. And I think it would expand beyond just this issue because we have a lot of things we want to educate the public about.
You're ahead of me.
So I love the education piece and I wish that during bike month, we would have done like bike awareness and passed out helmets or lights. And maybe we can work on that for next March as a major push on bike safety because we have so many bicyclists in our community and teaching appropriate safety measures and what's the lay of the land and which way they're supposed to drive and stuff. But the second thing is I just came over the bridge to Palm Beach Island. And as you're coming down, it's got a little flashing light that reminds you of what the speed is. What would we have to do to get one of those when you're coming back into our city from Palm Beach Island?
We steal it from there.
No, I actually had, I had bolt cutters and stuff, but I didn't want to go to jail and then have to call Glenn and then he's not my attorney. So then I'd really be on my own. So I know that these are owned by not us. Yes, but if they can have one that remind, it literally.
The mobile units?
No, it's the sign that says,
Oh, okay.
yeah, and so you're driving, it says 25 and it says your speed and it's flashing at you. I would really love to see one of those on our bridge when we're coming over from the island, because that is one of the biggest complaints of the people who live in that community.
There was a bike fatality
Yes.
because of that,
And I
coming
just,
down that bridge.
I mean, if they can have it, why can't we? It's the same.
They have a lot of money. We don't.
No, it's
I'm
not.
kidding, I'm
Yeah, it's owned, it's FDOT. It's not
I'm kidding.
amazing when you visit other areas.
I would like this to not, I definitely think, some more research I can help out. I'll meet with both city manager Jamie and we'll pull in stuff from other cities from TPA so that we, we're not making them from scratch. We don't have to. Two things, one of them slipped away, but one easy one, which Commissioner Malega partly read my mind. When DDSO goes out and sees people at night who are wearing dark colored clothing, no lights on their bikes, then we spend a little money or get PVSO to spend a little money, a bike light kit, front and back light that, maybe costs you $10. And hey, a warning to people, you need to have these, it's the law in our city, and here's one to put on your bike, and we don't want to see you without it the next time. Some pretty easy, that's a very easy action step that's cheap and pretty effective.
I'd like to see 0 bikes on Lake and Luzerne sidewalks.
Yeah.
Can you still register your bikes with PVSO?
I was just thinking
The
that.
little number they used to etch them, so if it was stolen.
Commissioner.
There's a huge bike stealing problem in our city.
But they had a big program.
They had a
before.
program and we should, that's not a very safety issue, but it's a relevant issue for bikes. And I agree, we should do it again. I think PVSO sponsored them.
Yeah.
Going around on little girl bicycles, I'm like, you did not buy that bike.
They borrowed it.
And along those lines, I just have to comment, say, if we're talking about safety, there is a new thing with these kids that have these little dirt bikes and they're low to the ground. This is like the kid that got killed in Boynton Beach. And the other day I was coming and I'm a pretty, I try to keep an eye out. I almost hit a teenager, African-American in a black outfit on a dirt bike that was this high off the ground on crossing on 6th Avenue South at night.
Those are the ones that hot rod through Pinecrest.
I know.
That Pinecrest is frustrated with.
Are they allowed to bring them on the street? Are they?
No, they're not street legal.
maybe we should have a little enforcement on that one, because I mean, I had to catch my breath.
Yeah, and then they cut through the alleys, they zip through the alleys.
But it would have been my fault,
Well, it wouldn't have been.
but it would have been,
But it would have been.
and I would have killed somebody, and I don't want to do that.
It's not a good.
So I would ask for some enforcement, Captain Bear, if you're listening, that's a real problem. And that, I mean, that young man was, for.
The other one, I did remember, the other one is Brightline, and somebody wrote me with an interesting suggestion.
It's a train, stay off the tracks.
Well, somebody had a suggestion. What about having a little contest or something or other for artists to make some kind of grisly looking things with trains and cars and put up, I don't know, a billboard or something or other at our crossings. Obviously, the best is if we had four-way.
Yeah, that is.
But they're expensive.
Well, that's not our expense.
Not four-way, it'd be two-way,
I
one on each
remember
side.
Years ago.
Well, no,
that we
it's
did
gonna
have
be
some
both
expense.
two on each side, because that's how they go around.
Yeah,
But the idea of the visuals, I don't know about the gruesome, but it might, because we do have situations.
I'm sorry, it's a train,
Yeah.
it's a train track.
I get it. People are used to the slow trains and beating them for so long that.
We timed it and it's 30 seconds till the bright line gets there. You shouldn't be anywhere near the tracks, but.
I have.
You know how many
obviously
people
people
I
do.
see, you know how many people I see stop at a red light on tracks? I'm like, what is wrong with you? The lights are- It's red,
Yeah.
and you're literally sitting on the track at a red light.
Anyhow, it's a thought.
This train thing is making me nuts. Oh, the poor person, oh, the poor son. No.
I like it, but I'd say easy on the grizzly.
The grizzly threw me, I'm like,
The grizzly.
because there's families that are affected and we still have to be mindful that
But
it's not like the mad thing where you take a crushed car and say, don't drink and drive when you put it on.
Well, but it is.
It is a little bit.
It's exactly the same. People have families too. That maybe we should put a couple wrecks by the side of the road and go, don't stop. But I mean, it's like,
Jamie?
don't use a plastic.
I'm looking at Jamie's face and he's like, wait a minute, what do you want me to do?
Depending on what it is and where.
His face just keeps changing.
Obviously, we have tight right of ways, especially right there at the tracks, and it would be far off of the tracks, basically right where our property line.
We have no place to put it.
line. And then you've got our sidewalk, back of sidewalk to back of sidewalk to the right of way, and then you're on private property.
Yeah.
So there's really nowhere to position on city right of
Hang
way,
it from above.
an actual, whether it's a sign, it's a billboard, whatever it would end up being.
Even if it
How
was.
about an arm that comes down across the railroad tracks so people can't drive through there? Oh, they do that already. I'm sorry, I
It would be
just,
one of those, we'd have to look at different locations, but I can tell you right now that it's gonna be difficult with the right of way,
tight.
the way it is.
Yeah. Well,
So.
I don't know what the solution, I mean, I know the bright line
I
is
do.
very on it.
Hey, how about Brightline and bicycles that they put out? See
don't,
that?
Yes.
don't drive across the tracks when the arm is down. It's the things you put up in your windshield to block the sun. Some of them say remove before driving.
Hair dryer, don't use them.
So I don't think we need to go to the lowest common denominator on every.
Here's the lawyer in here. Here's the lawyer in our mayor, right here. Here it comes. It's coming out.
It just doesn't make any.
Here's the law degree.
People
I
are,
hear you. And
I'm sorry. All right. Anyway,
She digresses.
we have, well, we've all digressed.
Yes.
Don't blame it on the lawyer. So I think we have
the soil.
some direction you're gonna get together and talk and see what we can have.
Great.
Thank you. It's 8:46. We're gonna get out of here by 9, I hope. Upcoming meetings.
Oh, wait, I think there might be. public
City
comment
manager,
on that one. I don't
city
know if we-
attorney's report.
I don't-
Is there any public comment, Madam Clerk?
There is not, we just had the city attorney's report left.
It's got a 4-hour report.
No, that was my line.
That was your line.
He's usually concise. Wait, no, you don't have a 4-hour report. You better be what TikTok.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't we pay him for that report?
No,
No report.
the legislature is out of session.
Ugh.
Goodness.
We've got to find out. There were a couple of things that we didn't hear about, the home baking. There's a couple home,
Cooking.
yeah,
Yeah.
there's a couple of things. that
Cottage,
I wanna
cottage
find
cooking, cottage cooking in a
out.
cottage.
There's two of them, and I want to find out from our Ms. Pinsky how they went, because, going along with the conversation we recently had about food trucks and all that stuff, I think that's important for us as well.
Is he gonna do a wrap up?
I would hope so.
Madam Mayor,
Yes, ma'am.
Senator Lori Berman will be coming and doing a legislative update at our April 5th meeting.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm working on a resolution about Art Deco week. I brought this up. I'm going to be getting that to the second meeting, I think, in April. April 28th is Art Deco Day and a lot's happening in Lake Worth. Do I have a motion?
To adjourn.
Motion to adjourn.
Oh, thank you.
That would, no, but that would be the
Absolutely
proper one, yes.
Absolutely appropriate. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thank you very much, everyone. Have a good night. Stay safe.